What an honor it is. What's up, Minecraft? Susie, hello. Odlines, hello. Ashley, hello. What's up, everybody? Julie, great to see you. Pauline, good to see you. Jacob, good to see you. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well on this lovely Saturday evening. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Maybe watch some college football today if you got the opportunity, if you're into that kind of thing. Allison, thank you for the galaxy. Brianna, great to see you. And Olivia, great to see you. I voted blue in PA due to you, the crazy reptile lady. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. It's amazing when I hear stuff like that. Like, truly. Gabriel, hello. What's up, my man? Guys, ladies, gents, boys and girls, everybody in between, I hope you're doing well. If you're just getting in the live, make sure to double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 100,000 likes. Boost the live super quickly. It helps send it out to more people. Also spam those shares down there, all of that good stuff. And of course, drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. And as I've said before, the resistance continues. It continues. We will, we will go for the next 4 years. Everybody, not just me, everybody will go for the next 4 years to hold Donald Trump accountable, to hold him accountable and make sure that the people know the things that he's doing, the things that he's saying and whatnot. We'll do that together. We'll do that together. So if you are a Republican, if you voted for Donald Trump, you are somebody that contributed to his win. I want you to come up here and tell me why you voted for Donald Trump. That is pretty crazy in my view. And I think there's some people out there who might be having some regrets. I don't know. Just I think. Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio if you want to support the live as well. It goes a long way. You know the drill. All right, let's dive right in. If you voted for Trump, best haircut yet. Carrie, thank you. Oh, man, Carrie, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It means it's very kind. This guy's saying MAGA, no regrets. Can I invite him up here? Because I want to hear about all that. I can't invite him up. Oh, look, let's bring up. Is this? Please don't be MAGA Michelle. Please don't. I don't need to talk to her. If you know MAGA Michelle, hello.
Oh, hey, Harry. How are you doing?
Are you MAGA Michelle?
Yeah.
Why'd you change your name?
I didn't. I just had this is on my backup.
Oh God! All right.
I know you're having a bad week.
It's not the best week. No.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, I'm loving all the things that he's saying he's going to do. Massive deportation, all these executive orders, going after the media for false information. You would probably be on that list, wouldn't you?
Wait, I thought you were for the First Amendment.
Hey, didn't you say the other day?
Wait, hold on.
That Trump was taking away IVF the same day he announced he was going to have insurance companies pay for it.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Aren't you for the freedom of speech?
But didn't you say though?
Wait, are you all right, Michelle? Are you just going to talk at me?
Keep putting out misinformation.
Are you just going to talk at me, or are you going to talk to me?
You're not getting away with this.
Okay, wait.
Michelle, you're on the list too.
Oh, okay, Michelle, are you going to talk at me, or are you going to talk with me?
What would you like to know, Harry?
There's a difference. So
I don't regret voting for Trump.
Just out of curiosity, you said you're for the First Amendment. You're for freedom of speech.
Yeah, but there's misinformation, which is what you do.
So
you put out a bunch of lies.
Just to be clear,
you put out a bunch of lies to interfere in an election.
I hear you. That's great. Just to be clear, like misinformation is actually protected.
You told people that Harris was backed by the Border Patrol.
I said that the border bill that she proposed with Biden was backed by the Border Patrol, which is the case.
To a Republican girl, and we have it screen recorded. You were telling her that the Border Patrol
post all the screen recordings you want. But
Harris.
Michelle, just hold on. You recognize that. First of all, I would love for you to cite some misinformation that I've spread or media spread. But second of all, you understand that misinformation is covered by the First Amendment. Right?
I just gave you 2 examples of things that you adamantly lied about and told your viewers
I've never said that the Border Patrol.
Untrue.
I've never said that the Border Patrol endorsed Kamala Harris, but you recognize that misinformation is covered by the First Amendment, right?
To a girl.
And also, how can you be a proponent of the First Amendment, but you're also celebrating Trump going after media companies? Isn't journalists and the media
for misinformation,
the pinnacle of
because
the
it's
First
indoctrination, which is what you are a prime example of.
So you don't actually care about. So you're not actually in favor of freedom of speech. You're in favor of speech that you like.
No, I'm in favor
Yeah, you
of
are.
freedom
Of
of
course you
speech
are.
as long as it's true. And you were
Okay,
telling
so then you
people
want
things
Fox
that-
News to be taken off
Do you
the air
want me to
then,
give
right?
you an example of all the things that you've said that were not true?
Yeah, after you answer my question. So you want Fox News to be taken off the air then, right?
I think that there are certain hosts that need to be taken off of the air.
No. But
yes.
Fox News as an entity, right? You want them taken off the air.
Like the Russian collusion people, like you probably still believe that the Russian thing was real, right? The Russian hoax.
I mean, Russia did interfere in the election, yeah.
But
Not
was
that
that through
there's.
Hillary or
I'm
through
not.
Trump?
I'm not alleging collusion, but they did interfere in the election. Absolutely.
Right, Hillary Clinton made up that whole story with.
You guys are still talking about Hillary Clinton, guys. Michelle,
Well,
move on. Move on. Come on, move on.
We have moved on. We won.
You clearly have not moved on. You're the one that just brought her up again.
Well, there needs to be. She needs to have more than just a fine. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so again, calling for
Weaponize
jailing
the
political
DOJ
opponents.
against him, and it's going to all come out. And everybody.
You guys have been saying this for over 8 years that it's all going to come out.
Yes.
We've been waiting and waiting, and it never came out.
It's coming soon.
And that's what you said last year, and the year before that, 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 and the year before that.
So we can actually enforce these subpoenas.
You also,
now.
yeah, you understand that Trump had that as well, though, right? He had the House and the Senate his first time.
See. I know you're worried about it, Harry.
No, you're 100% right. I am.
Things that you have done. There are certain things that you've done and have said when you talked about that somebody could go out and pew our president, and then a couple of days later that happened.
Wait, what?
Like there are so many different things.
Wait, when did I say that? When did I say that?
Go back to your videos, dude. You posted it. You're like
Michelle, if you can find me a video of me saying that somebody should go out and do that, I'll delete my TikTok account.
You've said that you would delete your TikTok account if people could prove that you were hired by the DNC, and
I'm still yet to see any direct evidence of that.
You still haven't done it, and people have posted all kinds of stuff about it.
I'm still yet to see direct evidence of that.
If I were you, Harry, I would be worried about.
Am I still employed? Am I still employed by the DNC now? Is that the theory?
Well, I mean, she got fired, didn't she, the other night?
Who got fired?
Kamala. She's fired. She's out of there. Her political career
am I still employed by the DNC though? Because that's the claim.
Well, I don't know. Are you, Harry?
I mean, I was never employed by the DNC. I just want to know where the conspiracy theory is going.
I know that you get your marching orders of what to put out. Just like you were saying,
100%. Michelle, there's definitely like a broad conspiracy of all that stuff. Sure.
Let's go back to the IVF thing that you were telling everybody that he was going to take away IVF from people. The same day that you said that, which was like 2 days ago, you had somebody up that he was going to take away IVF. He literally came out and said that he wanted people to do that. He was going to make it more affordable, and he was going to have insurance companies start paying for that, so families could start having their dreams of having a child could come true.
Isn't that the socialism you guys don't like? Like, aren't you guys against when the government instructs? Wait, hold on. Aren't you against that though? Because like when the Democrats are proposing like healthcare companies subsidize stuff for like Americans when it comes to drug prices, you guys are against it.
Nice pivot.
No, it's. Wait. Just to be clear,
that Trump was
when it comes to Michelle, I'm sorry. I'm not going to get in a screaming match with you. I'll mute you if I have to. I'm not going to get in it.
Okay, that's fine.
You guys, the Democrats propose like subsidizing healthcare and making drugs more affordable for your average American out there,
actually,
like insulin, for example, and then you guys are against it. You guys say that that's bad. You say that it's socialism. But then when Donald Trump is saying, "Oh, we're going to make healthcare companies pay for IVF," you say that's no problem. You guys are totally inconsistent here.
No, he was the one who put the insulin bill in, the $35 insulin.
No,
it was enacted under the Biden. Yes, it was.
No,
and when he said that he was going to make
insulin,
when he said he was going to make insulin cheaper than water, you guys all laughed at him. And he was working on that before he left office.
Still waiting on it. Because he also had the ability to do that he had the ability to do that for 4 years.
And what he's going to do for the veterans with them being able to see any doctor that they want and not have to go through the VA red tape. That's amazing.
That was done by Obama, by the way.
Massive deportation. That's amazing.
Wait. Just to be clear, that was done by Obama.
No tax on Social Security, which you said he was going to take away their Social Security.
He did. He proposed a budget every single year of his presidency to cut Social Security and Medicare.
He's actually giving them a tax break on it. No tax on overtime.
He gave a tax. He gave a tax cut to the wealthy the first time. See, it's like you guys fall for all the simple stuff. You know, Donald Trump says, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this."
What if he does do that?
And he was in office the first time. He was there for 4 years. He didn't do any of this stuff.
She did nothing.
Why didn't Donald Trump? Where is the insulin being cheaper than water? Where's the insulin being? Michelle, where's the insulin being cheaper than water?
Well, $35 a month is cheaper than water, bottled water. If you bought a bottled water.
So Donald Trump never did that. He never got a bill passed through Congress. He signed an executive order that only applied to certain federally funded health centers around the United States. And experts actually agreed that that policy that he signed in executive order would make it harder to execute health care. And it also would have limited authority. So the president can't just like lower healthcare costs and lower the cost of a certain drug themselves. Right. But if you go through Congress, it's far reaching. I would hope that you'd be able to agree. And this is like Civics 101. That if you get a bill passed through Congress and the president signs it into law, that they have more authority.
So let me ask you something. Yeah. You said the no tax on tips wasn't going to work. But then when Kamala said it, then you said, oh, it will work. So you backpedaled on that.
No. The policies are different.
Now you're backpedaling on this. Like if she was going to lower.
Can I explain or no? Are you just going to keep? Again, you're just Michelle. You have a terrible habit of talking at people and not talking with people. It's like you just keep going from topic to topic to topic to topic. It's like you're all over the place. So happy to focus on one thing, but let's just finish the insulin point, which is the fact that Congress has more authority and broader authority when they get a bill passed and signed by the president than an executive order does. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did. They got a bill passed through Congress, had it signed into law, which affects insulin broadly, as opposed to specifically through Medicare, as opposed to certain federally funded health centers in the United States, of which there are not that many. Now, with taxes on tips, so Kamala Harris's policy was different than Donald Trump's policy. Donald Trump was just saying, happy to explain. Donald Trump was just saying that we're going to get rid of all taxes on tips with no restrictions, no regulation on it whatsoever. Whereas Kamala Harris was saying, yeah, let's get rid of taxes on tips for certain workers, those being like service workers, people who work in restaurants, are servers and things of that nature. Because the problem is, if you just remove all taxes on tips, then it's possible for business leaders and lawyers to change the classification of their income to tips. So then these wealthy people don't have to pay taxes on them. So far, Donald Trump has not come out in favor of that regulation.
That's a false narrative because it's
I'm sorry, it's not false.
It's maxed at 62,500 is the most that you can claim.
Well, Donald Trump hasn't released a text of his policy, so.
Well, yeah, no, it's actually in there. If you read Agenda 47, it's in there. And on the service industry,
wait, I don't think that like a lawyer.
62,500.
I don't think that a lawyer should be able to like have no taxes on their income up to $62,000.
They're not going to. They have to be in the service industry and have had a 2 years tax returns of them proving that they've worked in that industry, and it's maxed at.
Well, I would love to see the text of this policy because Donald Trump has not put it out yet.
It's in Agenda 47. So if you would have read that,
please pull it up for us right now.
And it's for service workers.
Please pull it up for us right now.
Well, just no, Harry. Read Agenda 47
because it doesn't exist. Like Trump has not put out this, and also just
if you read Agenda 47,
let's be honest with each other. Why do we have to go
pull up shit for you just because you don't take it further?
It's your source. It's your source. The burden of proof is on you. It's not on me.
Agenda 47 is his plan. It's on his website. It's there. So let me ask you, you've never read it.
The burden of proof is on you, not me. So if you're citing something... You never read
Agenda 47.
So am I allowed to Michelle, am I allowed to get a sentence out or what?
Well, you never read Agenda 47. Have you read it? That would be a no.
Done? Are you done? So can I speak now? Okay. Yeah, no, I've read portions of Agenda 47, absolutely. But I just want to clarify something that in debate or argument or conversation, the burden of proof is on you. So if you cite something, it's on you to back what you're saying up. It's not on me to like go find your arguments for you, right? It's on you to back your own arguments up. It would make no sense. Think about it. In court, when you make an allegation, it's on you to prove that allegation, not on the defense to either prove it or disprove it, right?
Well, I encourage everybody to go read Agenda 47 because it would probably they would see the
extremism.
What would be so extreme about securing our border?
Oh, I think that mass deportations are extreme. Yeah. Like undocumented migrants make up around 5% of our workforce, aka millions and millions of jobs. Well, listen, so just having a bunch of jobs just automatically
go get a 2-year degree, and you'll get citizenship.
I mean, we both, I hope, can acknowledge that it's not that easy. Some people who came in during Obama's second term and are seeking citizenship are only now getting into the realm of possibility when it comes to citizenship. So
Well, listen,
it takes like an average of like 10 years for someone to become a citizen.
If you commit a crime and you come here illegally,
But that's just, Michelle, that's just not how that's just not how citizenship works in the country. The idea that you can just like go to college for 2 years and the idea that you can just go to college for 2 years and then suddenly get citizenship, that is not at all how this works. The process is incredibly difficult. Trade school, whatever it is. The process is incredibly difficult, right? There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of money that comes with it. So, and it takes an average around 10 years. You can actually look up data on this. That for your average person seeking citizenship, it takes around 10 years for them to get citizenship. Right. So you don't, you just going to a trade school or going to a 2-year college does not automatically fast track you to getting citizenship.
So you have time to go out and get a certificate, go get a CNA license, that's
really stupid.
Why is that stupid? If you want to stay here, contribute to here in America. So go get a trade.
Then why didn't Donald Trump deport
CNA? Go do something.
If you think that this is a practical solution, then why didn't Donald Trump deport all the criminals his first term in office?
Oh, he did.
Really?
Massive deports. Massive. People
really? Because deportations actually under Obama were higher.
No, I would probably disagree. Why don't you bring that chart up?
Sure, I'm happy to.
Show us all that. Yeah.
Sure, I'm happy to.
And you pull up Trump's deportations, but pull up his how many people entered the country. So that would lower the ratio of deportations because not that he had the least amount of illegals entering under his term too.
No, it's actually pretty similar.
That would balance out your numbers, right?
No, it's for a lot of
if you're letting
Obama
more illegal in. If you're letting more illegals in, then
for example,
your deportations would go up. Right?
You can see on the left side. I know it's backwards. On the left side, this is between there's 2008 right there, and then 2016 is right there, and you can see that actually like these are Obama numbers right here.
Right.
And there wasn't a spike of people coming in under Obama.
Right. And how many entered under Trump and how many entered under Biden? Why don't you pull that up?
Yeah, I mean, I hope you'd be able to acknowledge that.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to do that. I know you wouldn't want to because Trump had the lowest.
I'm happy to.
Amount of migrants enter our country.
Yeah. So why do you think that migrants came in under Biden, or like why do you think there was more people coming?
Because they opened it up and they eliminated Title 42, and that's what they wanted.
Do you recognize that Title 42
this election?
So do you recognize that Title 42 is a health care measure? Do you recognize the title?
Harry, can I
please get a sentence out?
No, because
it's absolutely
you're trying to say that these people
aren't
criminals, and a lot of them are.
It's absolutely impossible to talk to you. Impossible to talk to you. Like, do you recognize that Title 42 is a health era measure?
Yeah, that was implemented during COVID, correct?
Yeah. So you also agree that Title 42 can't be used permanently?
Can't be used permanently. But do you realize that Joe Biden could have signed an executive order at any time based on Immigration Act F-202? He could have declared the border an emergency at any time. They didn't need any help from Congress. He could have made a proclamation for any amount of time and sent people down there and stopped the invasion at the border. He could have sent the military down.
Yeah,
he could have hired more. He could have hired more border agents. He could have done anything that he wanted. He could have declared that at any time, and he chose not to. So if they really wanted to secure the border, he could have done that with a pen and an executive order.
So when Biden tried to pass a bill that hired more Border Patrol agents and Republicans shot it down.
Because it was a horrible bill and it was going to give a pathway to more people to asylum.
Wait, actually, can we just go back for a second? So first of all of what you just said is like incorrect. The idea that Biden with the swipe of a pen can just secure the quote unquote secure the border is just nonsense. But can we just go back for a second? Can we just go back for a second and to your claim that like they opened the border? How did they open the border? You cited Title 42 and you even acknowledged that it can only be used in a health emergency situation. So what else?
They removed Remain in Mexico.
Okay, Remain in Mexico only affected 70,000 people, though.
Took away DNA testing for people coming through the border.
How did Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is vice president. She doesn't have that authority.
She was the border czar.
She was not the border czar.
Yes, she was.
The president
Harry, come
can't. The
on.
president can't appoint a vice president to be a czar of anything.
We have 325,000 missing children that were used as
Oh my
mules
God!
to
The
come
pivot
back and forth.
again. The pivot again. It's so crazy.
It's the same thing that
the
we're
way,
talking
Michelle,
about.
the way that your
How
mind
is
works
that a
is
pivot?
remarkable.
You don't want to talk.
I actually have talked about this extensively because the kids are not lost.
325,000.
The kids are not
Yes, they
lost.
are.
The government they're first of all, I don't know where you're getting this 300,000 number from, but they're not lost.
325 is what it's up to.
Great, amazing. So they're not lost. The government just can't make contact with them. So it doesn't mean that they've just disappeared and they're in thin air or
They
anything bad has
also
happened to them. It's just that
DNA
in some instances, the government hasn't been able to either reach the child or the sponsor or both in certain instances.
Okay.
And in that same vein, this exact same thing happened under Donald Trump, with tens of thousands of cases like this where the sponsor or the child or both weren't able to be reached. This is something that's consistent under Democrats, Republicans. It's just the way the government works. It's not a reflection of the president of the United States. So to make this a point against like Biden, you'd have to make that argument against Donald Trump, right?
Okay. However, and this was testified in front of Congress. I'll post the video here in just a minute. I was watching the hearing on it.
You really don't need to.
Okay. Listen though, there was a testing that they would do. It was a cotton swab. They could put it in this machine, and within like 90 seconds, they could tell if this male traveling with this like 12 or 11-year-old girl, if they were a family or not. That was removed under the Biden administration, and these kids were used back and forth to get these young men, these men across the border. These children have now ended up in sex trades. They've ended up in the labor industry as slaves.
How do you know that?
And I've watched all the hearings on it, and it's pretty crazy. And I think that if you
but like a hearing is one thing, but like how do you know
and there
that?
was a document that was signed by Kamala Harris that removed
It's Kamala.
her.
Or you can just say the vice president.
She removed that out of a part of their vetting process. That document was signed by her. That put all of those children in high risk of being trafficked across the border. That was something that she did with her signature that she removed. Whether you want to say she was the border czar or not, absolutely she was not the border czar. She made that situation 100 times worse. If I were her, I would not want to put that on my resume either. Secondly, we know that those kids have been brought in and that they have been used several times by facial recognition. There is huge amounts of private organizations and nonprofits that are trying to locate these children to return them with their parents from
Wait, please.
the country.
Fuck off. Respectfully, fuck off. You don't care about any of that. Trump had family separation and some of these kids still have not been reunited with their parents.
About that.
Yeah, wait, but do you criticize?
Do you
criticize
all the time?
Do you criticize Donald Trump for that? Because a lot of these kids have still not been reunited with their families.
I think that now he's putting things into place that if you come across the border and you're child trafficking, the laws that he's going to put in place are going to be horrific.
Can you answer my question though?
He's been very involved in Operation Underground Railroad for many years as a private civilian.
Can you answer my question? Because Donald Trump had family separation, of which a lot of kids got separated from their parents, and now some of these kids have still not been reunited with their families. By the way, DNA. Two things. Can you criticize Donald Trump for that, for these kids being separated from their families? And number two, DNA testing is also still happening at the border.
It's not happening.
Yes, it is.
It's been.
I have an article. I was curious about this, so I looked it up. I have an article from November 2023 talking about how it was actually reinstated. It expired.
Oh.
It expired in 2023 under Biden, and then was subsequently reinstated.
No, it was removed, and then they wanted to win an election and knew that
they wanted to win an election in November of 2023.
It gets reinstated. So
there was an election in November of 2023.
How many children as a dereliction of duty were affected by them not making sure that DNA testing
what election was in November of 2023 that they had to win?
What election was it? Well, he was running then, right?
I mean, you said they had to win an election. So if they really wanted to do this to win an election, why wouldn't they?
They were bearing a lot of this stuff, because if the American people really knew the truth about what goes on down at the border, and really saw the border firsthand, which you never have, and go down there and look at what's going on in what they have done to our country and what they are doing to these children. If people really did see that, they would never vote Democrat ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that's a Democrat thing, because again, I have an article here talking about how Biden reinstated this after it expired.
The day of.
It's still going. Yeah, I mean, in November of 2023.
When did it expire?
2023. I think it expired in the summer of 2023.
No, they took it away in February. I think it's February 19th is what they testified. The Department of Human Services, when she was in front of Congress. When she testified in front of Congress, she said that removal was taken out in February of 2021.
Yeah, I don't understand why you keep citing people testifying in front of Congress, but you just completely fail to recognize that a lot of these people who are testifying in front of Congress are political pawns almost. Democrats calling people to testify, Republicans calling people to testify that back up what they're arguing for. So yeah, I'm 100%. I recognize that people testify under oath. But when it comes to these committee hearings, a lot of these people are testifying to their opinions. A lot of their answers are very political, right?
It's not supposed to be their opinion. It's supposed to be the truth.
What are you talking about? These are experts testifying to their opinion. That's what they're brought in for.
They are being deposed, so they are supposed to be. They are being whether or not they will.
You don't think that folks give their opinions when testifying?
When they are asked a direct question under oath,
that's not what I'm asking. Don't you think it's the Republicans are deliberately calling people and Democrats are deliberately calling people? Don't you think that's how Congress works, or no?
Well, I believe that yes, there are committees that do that.
Okay.
This is whether or not that she is going to face indictment charges. So
who's going to face indictment charges?
The lady from the Homeland Security.
Why would she face indictment charges?
Well, she's where the buck stops with her she was a dereliction to her duty that put these children in jeopardy of ending up in the
I don't know what statute you're citing that she could be indicted for, but that's not how that works.
Well, we'll see, right? It's all going to come out,
sure,
right?
We will see, but I'm telling you that she's not going to be. You can't just be like, oh, I disagree with their handling of the border, and thus they're going to be indicted for it. Because by that same logic, right?
Well, wait a second,
whoever's Trump's Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security would have been indicted as well.
Police officers. Let's go back to that logic. We've entrusted this lady with our most precious gem in the world that we have, which is children. And because of her dereliction of duty and her not doing her job, she has made these children victims of crime. And had she had more power over her or the people that worked for her and oversight protecting these children, she is the one who has given them to their handlers by her not doing her job.
So
there has to be ramifications for that. Just like if a police officer harms somebody in the line of duty, they're held accountable for their actions.
If they directly do something that causes that,
if a doctor causes malpractice, he's held to a standard.
So if a person in a role directly does something to somebody, they can be held accountable. But let me ask you this: in your opinion, if a police officer sees somebody being chased with a gun, right? Like somebody's screaming, they're running away, and somebody has a gun, they're waving at them, and the police officer doesn't intervene. Do you think that police officer can be indicted?
Yes, actually, because they took an oath.
Wrong. So actually, this is the reason I asked you that question in that very way is because the Supreme Court has actually ruled on this, that a police officer doesn't have a constitutional authority to step in when they see a crime being committed. So if a police officer doesn't step in, there's no criminal charges that can be filed against them. Fun fact. Look up the Supreme Court case. I'd highly encourage you to do that. First of all, there's precedent for this, that even if you think that the the DHS secretary was, ignoring their duty, that they could be indicted. It's just not how the law works. And they also weren't ignoring their duty. And by your same logic, if, children, quote unquote, being lost, which they weren't lost again, but quote unquote being lost under Biden means that she would be indicted, or whoever the secretary being indicted, then you would also argue that the person under Donald Trump would also be indicted, because there were tens of thousands of people or children who were, quote unquote, lost, according to you, under Trump's administration as well.
Perfect.
So read the Supreme Court case. You should do that.
Yeah, I should do that. But you still never answered me why you kept telling people that Trump was against IVF when he wasn't.
We're going all the way back. Trump is.
You never answered it, and it was funny because the day you said that was the day that he said that he was going to have insurance companies start to pay for that, so it would be available for families. And then that same night, you say, no, he's against IVF and reproductive rights. And he's not coming after. He's not coming after people unaliving their babies.
So the Republicans in Congress voted against a bill that would protect a right to an abortion, another bill that would protect a right to contraception, and another bill that would protect a right to IVF. And this is Donald Trump's party. A lot of these senators that did this are endorsed by Donald Trump, and Trump has made it very clear how he stands on reproductive rights and the judges that he would appoint and how they rule on reproductive rights. So when you have this kind of track record, and he brags about overturning Roe v. Wade, I feel far more confident with someone like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in office to protect these rights than Donald Trump. I mean, Trump is once again making empty promises to you and folks who, like yourself, who support him, and you eat it up. You automatically think, oh yeah, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. But he's been making empty promises to you for years that you just overlook when they're not fulfilled and pretend that they didn't happen. We're all still waiting for Mexico to pay for the wall. We're still waiting for that healthcare plan that he said would come out. We're still waiting for the repeal of Obamacare, which would be disastrous, which he tried and promised and promised. We're still waiting for that infrastructure bill that he said that he was going to get passed, and he never did it. He also said that, by the way, he also said that he was going to end the Ukraine war as president-elect, and he said that he could get it done in 24 hours, and he's already failed. He already made bad on that promise.
I think he already got Gaza, and he's already negotiating with the hostages.
That's just a lack of reading of the news. I want you to
stop pivoting on this whole AB thing, because the Democrats, every single one of them signed. Are you familiar with the Right to Life Act? That was
isn't that a pro-life policy? Yeah.
It's what it is a baby that is born that survives a late term abortion and comes out of the womb and is living. We're not dabbling in this misinformation here. Live, yes, the right to live. If the AB was unsuccessful. Do you know that every single Democrat signed against the life of that baby that would survive on its own out of the womb in a late-term abortion? And late-term abortions are only to be used for medical reasons. So if that baby survived, why would anybody want to unalive it? Every single Democrat signed that bill. That is one of the major reasons that I fight against the Democrat Party. You can go look it up. It's called the Right to Life Act. So if a baby survived a late-term AB, they voted to have that baby still unalived because that was the mother's choice.
That's not what Democrats voted for.
Yes, they did.
This is like complete misinformation. So
no, it's not, Harry.
It absolutely is.
You won't even look it up. You don't want to talk about it because that's how aggressive.
We're literally talking about it right now. You can't keep saying that I don't want to talk about it if we're talking about it right now.
Well, don't say it's misinformation because do you know the bill?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Right to Life bill, and I'm familiar with the Republicans trying to do this. But just to be, you know why? You know why?
Why would you ever?
It's already illegal. Like that's already illegal.
then
so
what would it matter?
You're asking the Democrat. Wait, but why? Just think
if it's
about this for a
already
second.
illegal
Please
to
think
harm
about
a
this.
baby,
Please think about this critically, right? Please think about this critically.
Lied about
Why
that,
would
about
we
Minnesota.
make something illegal that's already illegal? What are we wasting our time for? Aren't our legislators meant to be in Congress to like get stuff done, actually make progress, not just do the same thing over and over again?
That was a statement of what they were trying to pass through on their pro-life aggressive agenda. Just like Wentz lied about the state of Minnesota.
Wentz?
Whatever tampon Tim is what
Jesus Christ, you guys are so childish.
And what about he lied He lied to everybody on a stage about Minnesota being so aggressive that they can go up until the 9th month for any reason for an AB. And he lied about that. And that is the aggressive part of which no Republicans
what did he lie about?
His abortion laws in that state.
He didn't lie about his abortion laws.
Yeah, he was fact checked on it. Yes, sir.
Really?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
what fact check? Let's look up the fact check right now.
He got
Was he
called
fact
out on
checked
it on Fox News. He got called out on it all over the place. Even Vance called him out on it on stage, and he could not defend his abortion laws, and he was fact checked on it. And he did lie. It doesn't exist, and it does exist in Minnesota.
I'm looking up Tim Walz' fact check abortion law Minnesota, and nothing's coming up. Decide the crime of killing a child within a year of its birth is illegal, as I mentioned. In May of 2023, Walz, as Minnesota governor, signed legislation updating a state law for, quote, infants who are born alive. It said babies are fully recognized as human people and therefore protected under state law. The change did not alter regulations that already required doctors to provide patients with appropriate care. Previously, state law said, quote, all reasonable measures consistent with good medical practice, including the compilation of appropriate medical records, shall be taken by the responsible medical personnel to preserve the life and health of that infant born alive. The law was updated instead to say medical personnel must care for the infant who is born alive. That's the only difference. Okay. When there's a fetal anomaly that makes it likely the fetus will die before or soon after birth, some parents decide to terminate the pregnancy by inducing childbirth so that they can hold their dying baby. Democratic Minnesota State Senator Erie May told PolitiFact in September, this update to the law means infants who are born alive receive appropriate medical care dependent on the pregnancy circumstances.
So do you think that there should be like a limit that for women, like, do you think there should be a cutoff time, like third trimester? And let's just say, obviously, if it's health reasons, I'm just saying, do you think that a woman should be able to choose to add a third term for any reason? Not that she's not sick, she's not dying, the baby's totally healthy, from the 7th to 9th month. Do you think that she should be able to terminate that life?
So I'm only in favor of, it's a tough question because I think there are circumstances which could permit that, but generally I'm only in favor of third trimester abortions if it's medically necessary.
Okay. So you would agree that that's way too aggressive, but there are a lot of people who are pushing for that.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't generally like laws that restrict a woman's choice. And I think that like having laws that say only in this certain circumstance can hinder a woman's ability to just get care even when she needs it. So like Republicans in Georgia, for example, have this like very restrictive law saying, oh, you can get abortions in this very specific circumstance, but doctors have been unclear at how to interpret that law and have led to cases like Amber Nicole Thurman where they're unsure if they can render medical care. So just like having vague restrictions or restrictions generally, I think leads more to bad consequences than good. Right. But like if we, in a perfect world, abortions in the third trimester only if they're medically necessary, but we don't live in a perfect world.
Right. But if you were in a relationship with a girl and she got upset with you and then she just went in to abort that baby as maybe revenge, or she didn't want anything to do with you and it was that late along, you would disagree with people doing it for that reason, correct?
If my girlfriend
was pregnant, she got mad at you.
And she got mad at me.
Third trimester. I'm just throwing this out there because there are people in this world who have that mindset. She gets upset with you and she makes an appointment at the clinic and gets rid of the baby
I'd say it's her choice.
But again, this is like trying to propose a law to ban unicorn hunting because you're not going to find a doctor that would perform an abortion on a viable fetus post viability.
Okay. Well, then you agree then too that's too far past the Rubicon, right?
I would agree with you. I think that it's morally wrong to abort a healthy fetus after the fetus is viable. To terminate the fetus, I think if there's induction of labor or something like that, that's a different thing. But to terminate the fetus, but here's my problem: is Michelle? I can't see your name. Is it Michelle?
It's Michelle. Mm-hmm. You've heard her before, Law.
Yeah. How much trust do you have in the government?
Well, very little.
Me too. I am with you there. And here's the problem, because that's where we end up with these situations like Amber Thurman, where she had products of conception that were left over after she had a failed medicated abortion.
Right. Okay.
And
So let me just clarify. I just have a question for you. Is this the one that the VP he mentioned in the debate on stage, and she's from Georgia? Is it?
yes.
Okay. And she took the plan or the after pill, correct?
She took not Plan B, but she took mifepristone and misoprostol. That's how half the abortions in the country are done through medication. But the not all of the medical term is products of conception, because it's not necessarily just like fetal parts. There's placenta, that are left over. And she began to go septic. So she went to the hospital, and the hospital made her wait 20 hours while the doctors decided whether or not they were able to perform this procedure. That's because Georgia's law says that the only time that you can have a DNC, which is a dilation and curettage, is when it is the result of a spontaneous miscarriage. And since her miscarriage wasn't spontaneous, the doctors weren't sure if they were going to be legally charged or lose their license if they performed this procedure. So they had to go through the bureaucratic process to make sure that they could perform this procedure, given that her circumstances, that it wasn't the result of a spontaneous or a miscarriage. So in that process, she became septic and died. And that's the problem, is when we inject government bureaucrats into this care decision tree. We have a woman and a doctor. The doctor knows exactly what needs to be done to save her life, and he could do it right there, but for government intervention. And I just don't trust government to get it right.
Yeah, and I think that's where I believe, like, based on what you're saying, in that state, they didn't know how to interpret that law. And so I do believe that it will be better coordinated if it is turned back over to the states. And that way the voter, I do believe that,
but
because
that just puts more government in it.
He finished.
Yeah, turning it over. I'm sorry.
Those doctors are working under those state regulations.
Just hear yourself?
Where they hold their license. So like here in Washington, it's very clear, and it protects the doctors here in Washington state. So wouldn't it be that the states could go back in and meet with their board surgeons, define the law better, that what protects the doctors in that state, and start to work on it on a state level versus a federal level?
Or what if we just had a federal law that said up to the point of viability, the doctors get to make the decision that's in the best care of the patient?
I would vote yes for that.
That's Roe.
That's Roe v. Wade. Oh my God. That's the thing that Donald Trump brags about overturning.
Just that one area of that row.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, so Roe established a trimester framework that said that there was no government interest in the first trimester, some government interest in the second, and full government interest in the third. What Casey did is it just got rid of that trimester. Planned Parenthood versus Casey in '94, I think it was in the '90s. Said it got rid of the trimester framework and said the point of viability. Up to the point of viability, a woman and her doctor get to make the decision. Now 24 weeks, 99% of abortions happen before this point. Right. And they said that's up between the woman and the doctor. But hey, once the baby is able to live on its own, once it's able to engage in subjective human experience, once it's then it deserves government protection. And after that, it was up to the states, and then the states could pass their own laws regarding what that happened. And real quick, you mentioned Minnesota real quick. That's my home state. And so they did remove the third trimester restrictions after Roe was overturned in the Dobbs decisions. Guess how many third trimester abortions have happened in Minnesota since that law was passed?
I don't know.
0. Not a single one. There's mandated reporting behind this that's still in the law, and not a single one has happened because there is no doctor that is going to perform a procedure that's not medically necessary. And medically necessary is exceptionally rare. I'll agree with you on that. But you're not going to find a doctor that's going to look at a baby that could survive outside the womb and say, yep, you want to get rid of it? That's fine.
Okay. So it's where it's at now. So how do you propose that you go forward? I think the states just, I mean, how do you, what it would be your plan based on how it is right now turned back over to the states?
I think that codifying, so all that the Dobbs decision did was say that there is no constitutional right to an abortion. And you can agree with that or disagree with that. But I think it's important that we make sure that that every woman in every state has the equal protection of the law, so that regardless of their circumstances, they don't have to go and try to prove that they were raped. They don't have to go and try to prove to the government that they're under sufficient medical need to qualify for an abortion. That we just let the woman and the doctor decide. And then after viability, I think the government has some grounds to say, let's establish some rules. Now, I shudder that the government will get it right, but we're talking about less than 1% of abortions. And I think we can figure that out. But right now, what we're experiencing, 2 women in Texas, this was just reported, and then Amber Thurman, this is happening all over the country, 60 women a day who were raped. A good portion of them live in these states that don't have these exceptions, and they're pregnant. 60 women a day are getting pregnant from their rapist. And I don't think that it's our job to make them have to re-traumatize themselves and file a police report and go through all of the steps and then sit before a government board or a medical board to say, here's my circumstances, can I get it? I just want the doctor and the woman to decide what's best for them in their circumstances.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree with that. The way that you put that is one of the first times that I've had that conversation with somebody on the other side without it being a personal attack. And so I appreciate you pointing out that I've really have fought to protect the third term, and that's where my focus was, just because of my beliefs. And so my opinion had always been that it would be better turned back over to the states, because I just can't stand with third term abortions for no reason. And so my fight behind that has been, to save these babies. And so when you put it to me in those ways, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on this issue. And I think maybe we can if people start to just calm down a little bit and make these arguments, we might get to a place where we can turn the temperature down on this issue. For me, morally, for our country to be divided over something like this, it breaks my heart. We have bigger problems in our country right now. We're on the brink of, World War III and our economy. And we have so many things that we need to be united together. And we let this abortion issue tear this country apart because people are not open to dialogue on it. And this is the first time that somebody's been civil with me to talk to me about why this has been really important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. Like, we're all entitled to our morals. We're all entitled to be evangelists, not necessarily in the religious sense, but for the ideals that we're important about. But I think when we're looking at the federal government, right in the preamble of our Constitution, it's to provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And I think that's where we need to look at the federal government and say, hey, states, you certainly have areas that you have control over, but there are baseline protections. And one of those things is making sure that women are free to decide what's best for their lives. And that if they come to the decision, if they're ready and with their doctor's advice, that we shouldn't let the government interfere in that, because I guarantee you 100% of the time the government's going to fuck it up.
Yeah, no, I think I think when they get over involved in anything, they fuck it up, regulations, and there's different in almost every area that we allow them in, they fuck it up. And one of the reasons I really have um, been magnetized to Trump and been an advocate for him is I've always heard him say that he wants this government to be turned over to we the people, back to us. Term limits are a good thing. Single subject spending bills are a good thing. Safe borders are a good thing. Peace in the Middle East is a good thing. Tariffs is a good thing to bring back a manufacturing here in the United States. It's going to make companies open up factories here. He already had one that was going to build in Mexico that's now looking at Detroit because he's been elected. So I do think that we have to support our president. We have to find things that we can't agree on that Trump would be good at. You know, he will be good at keeping us protected from foreign wars, from an attack here in this country. And we need to take care of our own. And he stands behind our veterans. And I believe that with all of my heart, that he will bring this country back around for everyone. I do believe that. We're all going to benefit from him being back in office.
Except the women that we were just talking about, but no, sure.
No, I think that still needs some work. And I think, if people can come in and make arguments and get new bills in front of Congress, we might be able to get a lot done.
Not with the Republicans. They won't budge on this. I mean, again, Republicans voted against a bill to protect a right to an abortion in the Senate. They wouldn't even allow debate to happen on it. They didn't even allow debate.
But right now, it's at your state level. So your state legislators that you've elected in, you can go to your state right now and get these, what he just elegantly stated, put into law there. So each state individually is protected. That's where it's at now.
Correct. It's out there now. But with Trump, that's not going to change.
Vote in locally, your state.
Say that again.
And it's killing women. Letting states make those decisions is killing women.
Yeah. And that's not going to change with Trump in office. So Amber Nicole Thurman, if Roe v. Wade was never overturned, would be alive today. She wanted to go to nursing school. She had a 6-year-old son. Now her 6-year-old son does not have a mother, and she's in a coffin on the ground.
And I can name so many different. Look at the 13 Marines that were unalived under the Biden administration.
How does that pertain to this?
Because of his horrible withdrawal. Look at all of the.
This is not like a tragedy comparison here.
It is,
this is just like
it is,
but it's not. You're saying that with Trump, things are going to get better for people. And my point to you is that on this topic that you actually just had some agreement on with law, this is not going to get better. This is still a subject area that will persist, and the problem will persist under Donald Trump. So and
what I'm telling you is that a secure border. That issue had already been turned back down to the states. So for it to be on this ballot, it's been turned down to a state level. So what was on this ballot was the economy and the border. That's what the American people wanted. You guys were fighting on abortion. That's why you lost the election. People care about what they're paying at the grocery store. They care about these people that are coming in.
I'm not debating with you. I'm not arguing with you about what people voted for.
Our cities being taken over.
Wait, Michelle, I don't need the Trump speech, right? This is the Trump speech. I understand. You're giving me the Trump speech of like, this is what's going on, et cetera. I'm not arguing with you as to, none of us are arguing with you as to what the American people voted on and what the issues that were on the ballot. We're saying to you, your claim that, things are going to get turned around for the better, like Trump's going to make this country better, on a topic that you just agreed with law on, even for your own argument would agree that this is not going to get better under Donald Trump because it's going to stay at the state level and it is killing women. So you don't have to talk about, the crime and the economy was voted on, which also, it's a entirely other conversation. This is the fact.
I would think that things are easier to get them turned around on a state level, that you have more, your vote means more, and you can get in front of legislation very easily here, and you can email them here in your state and have it rectified on your state level. It's at where it's at now, so you have to do what you got to do and fight on the state level.
I'm totally
Instead
agree.
Instead of bitching about what Trump is not going to do about it.
So, but except as we just talked about, it's killing women. So you could be like, it's on the state level. And we're all aware that it's on the state level. but it's not going to be protected federally under Donald Trump. And women will continue to die under Donald Trump because of these Republican states. Women will continue to die over this decision that Donald Trump brags about practically ushering in.
And young women and men that are endangered from these migrants coming across the border to illegal.
Again, this is not a tragedy contest.
That is happening every single day too. So it's not. We are where we are with some of the issues.
I don't understand this pivot. Like, why can't you just engage?
Is going to protect more
Michelle, this is not a tragedy off. This is not like what tragedy is worse, right?
It absolutely is because we're losing our country every single day.
What kind of an argument is that? If we're talking about
because that to me wasn't on the ballot. That it had already been overturned.
Michelle, we're not talking about what was on the ballot for you or not. We're not talking about what was on the ballot for you or not. We're simply, I am responding to an argument you made saying that things are going to get turned around under Donald Trump.
Yes,
and on this specific topic of which you agree with Law of the Wild in terms of federal protection, it'll not be turned around under Donald Trump. And I don't need a pivot on immigration, and I don't need a pivot on undocumented migrants doing X, Y, and Z. But on this specific topic of which we're trying to focus on, but you keep walking away from, things will not get better under Donald Trump.
Okay. We'll agree.
Okay. You agree?
Yes, I agree with you on that.
And do you agree that women will continue to die as a result of the state policy?
I certainly hope not. I certainly hope that there will be some things put in place to protect people like Amber. And I'm hopeful for that there will be open dialogue to maybe revisit to protect the lives of Amber. Now, can we move on to the border?
We can talk about the border.
Can we move on to the border? Because I think that is the biggest threat to our country, is this invasion of not knowing who is coming across the border. Harry, you would agree that there are you would have to absolutely agree that there are people coming across this border that we do not know who they are, and that they could be a threat to many citizens on here because we don't know who they are. And we know that people come through there illegally because they hate this country. We could have the biggest threat that we've ever had that would be bigger than what happened on 9/11 because of what we're allowing to come across the border. That is my fear, and that is what a lot of people fear. And there's terror coming through our border every single day. We need to know who those people are, who have bad intentions for this country, for the women and the children in this country, who they are unaliving all the time.
I hear you.
So that is an issue. And you have to agree that it was better under Trump. It was better. It wasn't a perfect system.
But I don't like looking at it. The argument is flawed for a number of reasons. I think everybody would agree that there's a problem with our immigration system, but this problem in the immigration system is not new. We've known about problems in our immigration system for quite some time. And I don't like looking at it like, it was better under Trump and worse under Biden. It doesn't really have anything what we're experiencing right now has nothing to do with Biden or Trump. So looking at it in terms of years is better. Right. So, a period between 2017 and X amount of years is better than it was at this point. And you can do the same with Obama, under Obama was better than Donald Trump at certain points. It has nothing to do with the president, because right now the problem with at the border is people are abusing the asylum system. And so Biden and Harris, do you agree? Mm-hmm. Biden and Harris have tried to, and by the way, you would agree that people who come in via asylum are legal, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. And I want there to be a pathway to citizenship, Harry, just so we understand that.
So Republicans rejected policy that does that as well. Biden actually introduced policy to do that. Democrats have been talking about pathway to citizenship for quite some time now. Republicans have rejected those conversations. Donald Trump has rejected those conversations. But on the bipartisan immigration bill that you said that was horrible earlier, that bill would have rewritten the asylum law to make it harder for people to seek asylum, have more questions and more restrictions on who can and can't, and also reduce the amount of time an asylum claim takes to go to court. And that policy that you called horrible, Republicans voted against.
There was also a huge pork in there for Ukraine. And I believe that was one of the reasons. I think we could pull that up and look to see what was actually in there on that bill, because I think one of the reasons the Republicans rejected that bill was because there was so much tied to Ukraine. That has been
well,
the
so
debates
Michelle,
that I watched. That has been the reporting that on our side that we've always, I believe it was almost 64 billion in there for Ukraine. And that was something the Republicans were going to put their foot down on. So that's one of the reasons I feel that bill was rejected. It also was going to give the pathway of, I believe, 5,000 a day to asylum, which would have brought in about 1.8 million.
No. So first off,
Do we have
what
the number to you? Can we pull it up? Can we pull it up?
I have it here. There was a separate. So I know Law of the Wild is going to make this point, but they were separated. The bill that was foreign aid, it ended up being $95 billion. That was a separate bill. They were originally together because Republicans told Democrats to put it together. Then Republicans told Democrats to separate it, and we did, and they still voted against the immigration portion. But please,
do you have it when it was? Do you have the document when it came up to the floor the second time where they voted against it, where it was actually separated?
Yeah,
so that would have been the bill that was introduced by Chris Murphy. So there was an amendment to House Resolution 815, which is an emergency appropriations bill. And so there's an amendment from the Senate amendment, I think it's 1288, which included, because this is what happens when you do amendments to amendments, you combine different things all into one so that you only have one vote on it.
Right.
And they included the border provisions, Ukraine funding, Israel funding, and Taiwan funding. All of those, I think it was 110 billion overall. Only 20 billion of it went to the wall. But what they did, once the amendment got adopted, the Republicans in the House stripped out the border provisions and the Taiwan provisions, and they kept in the Israel funding, and then the Senate added in the Ukraine funding. So even though the border provision was taken out, they ultimately still adopted the Senate funding and the Ukraine funding and the Israel funding. And then after that happened, Senator Chris Murphy brought up just the border bill on the floor. And then that's when it failed. And actually a handful of Democrats voted against it, mostly because it was too conservative, because it didn't have things like DACA. It didn't have things like a pathway to citizenship, didn't have amnesty for people who are here. And that's why they voted against it. Cory Booker voted against it, or Bernie Sanders, but on those grounds. And here's the thing, though, is it takes 60 votes to get cloture on a policy bill in this. Mitch McConnell told the Senate, this is the best immigration bill that we are going to get, because if the Democrats, if we don't pass this, then any future bill, the Democrats are going to want DACA. They're going to want pathway to citizenship. They're going to want amnesty. And the things in the bill, the 5,000 that you're talking about, there was a discretionary shutdown of the border at 4,000 encounters. That doesn't mean 4,000 people are allowed in. That's 4,000 encounters. And then it was a mandatory shutdown at 5,000 encounters, and that's just people showing up and saying, I want to get into the country, and they don't have prior authorization. So that doesn't mean they actually get in.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. So that's when it triggered.
But kind of
hold on real quick, Michelle. Okay. The provisions in that bill were $630 million for border wall construction, $500 million for F substance, if you know what I mean, detection equipment at the border to prevent trafficking, doubling of deportation flights so that we get people who are in here that are on their way out, get them out faster. Also almost doubled the number of detention beds from 30,000 to 55,000 so that we could hold more people who were awaiting deportation. Like all of those things are like Republican wet dreams that was what the things that they wanted. And
what do you think the caveat is of why they didn't vote on that?
Because Trump wanted to continue to tell people the border was an issue. If the bill would have passed, we would have seen an immediate and dramatic decrease of border encounters, of people seeking asylum. That was one of the things that it did too, is it raised the threshold for a credible fear from just a credible fear to that the USCIS officer doing the interview had to have reasonable suspicion that the person faced fear of going back home. That would have meant that even fewer people got past that first interview in order to even get on the list to wait for their asylum hearing. And if that would have passed, the border would have had a tremendous impact. And Donald Trump couldn't have gone into the election saying the border is an emergency. And here's the thing that really gets me. If Donald Trump actually believed that the border was in crisis, if he believed that it was an emergency, it's like your house being on fire and the fire truck showing up, and then Donald Trump is there saying, no, 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 turn that fire truck around. I'm going to bring a bigger and better fire truck tomorrow. You really didn't care about your house then if you let Donald Trump do that.
Yeah, I mean, you make some really, valid points. And that was never my interpretation that he did that to stop it for that reason. I had always believed that it had a lot of pork in it and tied to Ukraine, and that it was going to give 5,000 people a pathway every single day. And they were going to bring in a lot more judges to quickly get them through the system. So, but my point to that would be all these bills that are coming through, the American people not understanding just the basic nuts and bolts of what these are, and they're packing so much stuff into it. That is one of the reasons I want Congress to bring them down item by item and debate them on the floor. I think that would be the most important thing that we could do moving forward, to be able to monitor what the government is telling us and what is actually happening on the House floor. Because we, from both sides, are given a lot of misinformation. So how do we, as Americans, move forward to make our politicians be accountable for what they say? We have to be able to have these come out on each bill come out single, and then it air, so we can all watch it, and Congress come back and ask their constituents how to vote on it. We have to have people have to be more involved in the government and the bills that are coming to the floor in order to change it for both sides.
Just out of curiosity, Law, in your opinion, how much more inefficient would the government become if that were the case?
I mean, if we had to debate every single line item budget, that would be...
Not line item, but couldn't we couldn't we have more compacted than what we're getting right now? I mean, we're getting like 10,000 pages through, Yeah,
I mean,
a better way.
There's a lot of paper, but I think, when we're talking about like budget bills, which this was an emergency funding bill, you kind of have to combine things into votes, because it would literally take thousands of votes on every single amendment to every budget bill if you were going to do that. So you have to do some consolidation for just efficiency. But I think you have a good point. I just don't think people pay close enough attention as it is, because the information is all there. Like the Congressional Budget Office puts out very comprehensive details about what each bill does. They put a lot of time into that. I mean, I'm a nerd, so like I read these things, but I would imagine of the 5.5 thousand people who should all be tapping and getting Harry to 1 million, by the way, I would imagine that we could probably count on our hands here that how many of them have actually read like a CBO review of a budget.
Right, and I think we have to get to a point where people come together and monitor what the government is doing. We, the people. And I think TikTok has brought a lot of that to life, but there's been a lot of propaganda from both sides. And so, we're forced to pick, whichever one we align the most with. But getting there are corrupt Republicans, there's corruption on all sides. And we just need to get to the truth and have the people start to take better control over their government. Because this is a government for the people. And it should be ran by the people. We vote you to go in there to represent us. And if you're lying the whole way and you're one way, I think there should be repercussions for that. If they say they're going to do this and vote this certain way on their campaign and go and totally switch their vote, and we should hold them accountable. I mean, we elect them to go there, and we need to start holding our politicians to a higher level, a higher standard. I think that if that's the only thing we can agree on both sides. Why are you laughing, Harry?
It's very hard to hear you say this, but you voted for Trump. It's just very hard to hear you say that you voted for Trump.
Of course I did.
No, I know you're. I
really believe in him.
I know you do. I know you do. But saying like, yeah, we need to hold our politicians to account. You know,
we do. And we do. We need to hold people who just promote. I mean, there's so many false articles and false things on the left, on the right. Like, none of us can read through the bullshit, and we have to hold them to a higher standard. So we can, like, if I would have known a lot of different things,
I'm not going to say anything productive.
But I still would have.
I mean, Michelle, I can sympathize with what you're saying. It's just, it's like, it's all just kind of fluff. We don't have really anything tangible to bite in there to. People should pay more attention. The government should work better. Right. But like, how's Donald Trump going to get us there?
Well, I think the first thing that Donald Trump is going to do that it will benefit everybody is his tax cuts. That people will start to see that he really is for the middle class, and like the Social Security tip, the no tax on overtime, the service industry tips. I think that's really going to be like an immediate kick for a lot of people. They'll be able to kind of spend that money. It'll make up for some of the differences that people are doing, and it immediately kind of lower some costs for people. He's going to drill. That's going to bring a lot of jobs back here. He's going to bring factories back here. Bring Detroit back. I think there will be a lot of things that we will benefit under this presidency. Wait a second, that we will be safer here at home. I do believe that we will not have a World War III. And that was one of the reasons I voted for Trump. I was terrified that I would have to give up my two sons that would be drafted and go fight under Biden or Harris.
Okay, so
as a mother, I voted for Trump for my sons, so they wouldn't have to go be drafted. And that was a big fear for a lot of children in his age group. My son's 22 years old and 19, and they got out and voted because they did not want to get drafted.
All right, so let's take those. You've got the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Yep. That's going to reduce the income to the federal government by about $500 billion by estimates. How do we make up for that?
Well, I know that they're going to do a big, huge budget review. I think that we have to go and see where we're spending unnecessary money. I think with the money that we've given Ukraine alone, by us stopping sending funding to Ukraine and calming that war down, we'll be able to make up that deficit just there alone, and getting the border in place will be huge. We're losing a lot of jobs to people that are coming over here. People will be able to get out there and work, and I think that was a really important issue that a lot of people aligned with Donald Trump on.
Well, there's like 12 million unfilled jobs right now. So I don't think that it's
I don't think that that's a correct statement, because I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of people right now who are looking to transition to different jobs or pick up a second one. And you guys keep saying that. And I live in the Seattle market, and plumbers are getting laid off out here. HVAC guys, iron workers are sitting on the list. So electricians, we're at 202. That our halls are full of guys on unemployment out here waiting to get calls. So when you say that there's 12 million jobs available, don't talk to a plumber right now, or it's slow, or an electrician, or any union guys. They're sitting in the halls waiting for call outs for work. So I don't align with that. I'm in the working class. I work with people in those trades and in the building industry, and it was 100% better under Trump. So is the real estate market and the housing market, and the mortgage rates were incredible. People could afford to buy homes. So those are a lot of the reasons I still would vote for Trump. And I know he's going to improve that in the next 6 months. I believe those things that he's going to implement will make everybody's life better.
How is he going to do that?
Well, we'll see how, right? I mean, Read Agenda 47. I've read it. Like, we'll see if that's what he's promised us that he will do. It's one of the, let's give the man the opportunity to do that. I think the temperatures need to cool down. Like I said, one of the main reasons I voted was to protect my sons from going into unnecessary wars.
Yeah,
and a lot of his friends did that, and there are a lot of college kids out there that came forth because they were afraid of that too. And I just would not send my son to serve under Harris. I could not lose my son to that woman, and I thought she really lacked on foreign policy. So that was a lot of my son's age group, a lot of them, that was one of their reasons they got out and voted for Donald Trump.
So, famously, Donald Trump, as a lot of the wild, I think, would agree, has never had the opportunity before as president to do any of these things. We have to wait and see because he never had the opportunity. Right?
Harry, that's not true. We had no new wars under Trump. We had
I know the talking point, but I'm just you said we have to see, and I understand. But you said we have to wait and see like what Donald Trump does. And I'm saying like famously he was never president before, so we don't know what's going to happen, right? It's like we can have we know who Donald Trump is. We have a pretty good indicator.
So we had the highest military recruitment under Donald Trump. We were safe. He had
because of something that Trump did.
We had absolutely. We had.
So what did Trump do to do that?
The lowest military enlistments have gone down under the last 4 years.
Yeah. So what changed?
That the recruitments in the last 2 days since he's been elected, the numbers are tripling into the call centers for people now wanting to join the armed forces. That is absolutely happening.
I don't know where you got that from, but like, what did Biden or Trump do? Just one sec. What did Trump do that like encouraged enlistment? And what did Biden do that discouraged enlistment?
Oh, okay. The vax for one. Okay, all the woke shit in the military. Yeah, the vax, the mandatory. Like, how many people did he fire in the military?
So there was mandatory vaccines in the military under Donald Trump as well, right? There was mandatory vaccines in the military going back to George Washington.
Not an experimental one.
It was not experimental.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but that's one of the reasons recruitment went down.
So we can. Okay. I mean, we just like I don't understand how that'd be a reason because we've already had mandatory vaccines in the military for a long time.
You can look at the recruitment numbers; they were the lowest.
No, I know, but looking, right. I think you would agree that just looking at numbers and seeing them go up and down, and having one person be president and another be president, and having different numbers under them is not enough to say that this person must be responsible and this person must be responsible, right? So like you'd actually have to point to something Biden or Trump did that encouraged or de-incentivized people enlisting in the military?
Well, we had this conversation before, but you shut me down because you wouldn't listen to me about it. But under the Obama, when Obama was when in the war, Obama had certain rules of engagement that soldiers weren't allowed to engage in. And it was very frustrating for a lot of the soldiers on the ground. When Trump came in, he met with 10 soldiers and asked them what they needed to do over there. Within weeks, they were able to take out ISIS. They were able to stabilize there, and they were going to put in a withdrawal. And this is not coming from Trump or anything. This is coming from a long line of military men who I know who have served at very high levels, who will, at very high levels, it changed under Trump. And they were able to engage in the mission, and their rules of engagement had changed. And that had put a lot of soldiers at risk. So people were not joining under the Biden regime because they knew they were going to get the same thing as they were going to get with Obama. And the withdrawal in Afghanistan was certainly one of the most horrible days in American history. And that, to a lot of soldiers, was very hurtful to them because they had given their lives up for 20 years and they knew it was going to happen to the Afghani people and all the people that were stuck there. It was so disgraceful.
It was initiated by Trump.
That lowered people wanting to join the military. And then not to mention their whole, transgender policies and things like that. So
Wait.
And also, too, we're just safer with Trump.
That's utter nonsense.
It's not
What
really.
transgender policy are you talking about?
You ask why kids aren't joining the military. Those are all
because of trans people. Are we really going to put that on?
Because of
God, y'all just be putting everything on everybody else, man. Everything that hits the immigrants and trans people.
Just to help the conversation a little bit, I'm looking at the DoD's recruiting targets since 2011. The first time since 2011 that the DoD has met its Army has met its recruiting goal is 2024. They met the recruiting goal of 55,000, which they hadn't done since Barack Obama in 2011.
So this year. Well, damn. Yeah. Well, thank God they're all serving under Trump.
Until he kicks out all of the woke liberals, as it says in Project 2025, or Agenda 47.
Should pull up the paragraph where it says that, because it does not say that.
I'm inclined to do so. I normally charge people for research, but this is fun.
He said that if they were teaching that, he's not kicking them out if they're in the military currently serving our nation. He's not kicking them out. That's ridiculous.
Weren't you just talking about like trans policy? Should trans people be kicked out of the military?
It got a little bit too woke for people, like on both sides.
Should trans people be kicked out of the military?
No, absolutely not. If they want to serve, but I don't think that like all of the wokeism has gone way too far.
What wokeism in the military are you talking about?
Listen, I just want him to pull that up. I'm not going to go down the whole like.
I just don't. You keep saying like wokeism is in the military and stuff.
Well, because the military has gotten very woke, and a lot of people coming out of high school didn't want to go into that. And it feels. I mean,
a while just talked about how they met their recruiting numbers for 2024, and Biden's still president.
Yeah. Okay, well that's really good. Well, hopefully they joined because they knew Trump was going to be president. But
I mean,
I know they're safe under
Come
Trump,
on,
so
man.
that's really good.
Yeah, even you said that while laughing. I mean, you can't even believe that. You can't believe that. You can't believe that. Yeah, it was like, oh well, people thought that Trump was going to win, so they joined the military.
Well, we knew he was going to win. We were just trying to convince you guys to vote for him.
No, I don't think anybody that was telling me that he was going to win 100% was.
Oh,
it wasn't a landslide.
Our side knew it was going to be a landslide. Absolutely was a landslide.
Really? I mean, he only won in Wisconsin by like 30,000 votes.
So we'll take it. It's a win's a win.
No, I totally agree with you that a win's a win, but like in terms of like people voting for Trump, it wasn't a landslide.
Michigan got the popular vote. We have the Senate and the House.
So you would call that...
It was a red wave.
So you'd say that Biden won a landslide in 2020?
Well, that's a really good point that you bring up, because we're trying to figure out how he got 20 million more in 2020.
He didn't get 20 million more. Kamala Harris currently has 70.9 million votes. Biden got 81, and California is still only 66% of the way through their votes, where obviously, as you know, a lot of Democrats vote. So there's still a lot more votes to be coming from Kamala Harris. And she actually outperformed him in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
I don't think that's true, because I think there's actually, we were watching it live where they said, where did Harris outperform Biden? And they couldn't find one place on the map.
No, I'm not saying like in terms of shift or swing. I'm saying that like in terms of just raw vote total, like Trump outperformed Biden and of course Harris in 2024. But in terms of like how many votes Harris got, she got more votes in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin than Biden did in 2020. So I can't believe you guys are like trying to allege fraud.
I love that you just said that. So in his home state, she got more, but Pennsylvania was where it came down to Biden and Trump, where Trump has alleged that there was some funky business out there in Pennsylvania. So that's interesting, by what you just said. She outperformed. She outperformed Biden this time in Pennsylvania. Is that what you're saying?
In terms of like, not electorally, because she didn't win the state, but in terms of the amount of votes she got more votes than Biden did in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Hey, real quick, I've got the paragraph. It's chapter 10 of the platform.
Just for the record here, hold on. In 2020, Harry, what states did Biden win that gave him the presidency, that there were voting discrepancies.
None. There were no voting discrepancies, or at least widespread voting discrepancies.
From our side, there was no voting. Didn't we dispute Wisconsin and Pennsylvania?
Yeah, you guys did unsuccessfully.
And Arizona.
Unsuccessfully, yeah.
Right.
Obviously unsuccessfully.
She overperformed him in 2024, and he underperformed in those states, but Trump. Well, they're going to look into that. So that's a really good point that you bring up.
I don't even.
They're going to look into
what?
that.
Look into what? So look. For example, look. Let me get the number here for you. In Pennsylvania, Biden won 3.48. Wait, 3 point. Wait, the numbers are fucking up. 1 sec.
Oh wait.
Okay, wait. Now, wait. It's not. 1 sec. I'm on the New York Times. The 2020 map is glitched for me. 1 sec. Okay, can I select Wisconsin, please? Can you let me select Wisconsin? Okay, I can select Wisconsin for some reason. So in Wisconsin, Biden got 1.63 million votes in 2020. In 2024, Kamala Harris got 1.66 million votes. So she did 30,000 votes better. And maybe it applies to Michigan. I think it applies to Michigan and Wisconsin, but for some reason, it's not letting me look at the numbers. It's just glitching for me.
Okay, and then in Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania. Actually, no, Kamala Harris did worse in Pennsylvania. My apologies. I was wrong about that.
Okay. So what is the total amount of people who voted in 2020 versus how many people voted in 2024?
Biden got 81 million. Trump got 74. Right now in 2024, it's Trump at 74, Harris at 70. And they still have to count.
5 million.
Yeah, they still have 5 million votes
in California.
It's estimated that 93.6% of the votes have been counted around the United States. So they still have 6.4% to count.
I think that's kind of, well, we'll see. I think we had I believe that this election was more fair because a lot of the groundwork that has been done out here. I live in Washington State. We've got some issues out here.
But just in an election that Trump wins, you think that it's fair. In an election that a Democrat wins, Biden wins, you think it's not fair.
No, I'm going to tell you, I think there's some funky business going on here in my state. So, I think mail-in ballots are junk. So
the Democrats could somehow make 2020 unfair, but not 2024.
We've got some weird things going on out here in Washington State. So we took every other one down ballot, and our vote tally doesn't add up. So,
oh my God, you guys are actually insane. We're still with this crap. You guys won, and you're still saying that there's some funky business. It's crazy. So
right, and my state went to Harris. I'm not saying that concerning the presidential election. I am saying that on some down ballot stuff, there are things that just don't make much sense. So
it's the same ballot, though. There's not separate ballots.
No, there's not separate ballots. That's not what I'm talking about. We have tallies that aren't adding up in down ballot races. There will be some things coming out on it. You can do some research on it through Clark County, and there's some stuff going on in County. The tallies they have coming in don't add up to what the candidates have been allotted. So they're counting more votes, and then when you add them up individually, they don't align. So people just didn't leave their ballot blank for some of these positions. It's very hinky.
That's actually very common. I think it was Maricopa County. There was something like 70,000 votes for Donald Trump, but then there were 60,000 for Ruben Gallego on the same ballot, or in a recent ballot drop. It's because a lot of people went out and voted for Donald Trump, but left the rest of the ballot blank. And then, higher educated voters filled in the entire thing, and they voted for Ruben Gallego.
And I think that's why they're going to be doing a hand count to see and to actually look at those. What? It matters for the down ballot. It has to add up. There's several seats that need to be looked at. That needs to be reviewed.
I also think we need to start looking in if unicorns exist. I think it's something that's very pressing.
You went a whole hour without insulting me up until now, so we did really good. But anyway, you guys,
I want to know if unicorns exist. I'm just out of curiosity.
Well, it depends on what you think a unicorn is.
All right.
Have a good night, Harry.
Yeah, Michelle, you too. Oh my God.
Brian, those are just chubby unicorns. That's all.
Yeah, right. Right.
I do want to read this. A lot of people are asking. In Chapter 10 of the platform from Trump's website, modernize the military. Republicans will ensure our military is the most modern, lethal, powerful force in the world. We will invest in cutting-edge research and advanced technologies, including an Iron Dome missile defense system, which is hilarious because we have 7 layers of aerial missile defense that cover every inch of the United States. But I digress. Support our troops with higher pay and get woke left-wing Democrats fired as soon as possible. That's bound to hurt recruiting numbers when you're telling that any Democrats who they consider to be woke are going to be fired from the military. And
no, but law, they care about the recruitment numbers, though. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I looked that up, that Biden has the Army hit their targets for the first time in 14 years.
Yeah. Actually, is that the Texas Tribune article?
No, mine came from 13 now. It's out of DC, 13 News now.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
It's from a DOD report.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
fascinating.
That was fun.
Anyway,
while we're here for a second, I've got 2 donations, and then I'll let you get back to it if you don't mind.
You can stay or leave. It's up to you.
Oh, I'm happy to stay. I don't want to cramp your style. Kate, thank you for the $20 for the fund to help unhoused and poor people in the criminal justice system. Thank you very much. And Jessie, $5. She says, for a Texas female who can't vote on AB. I will always fight for you, and I'm sorry for what you guys are going through, but the fight isn't over. So thank you guys for your support.
Yo, shout out to Chris. Appreciate the $5, man. Again, I live in Washington. The Republican gov running was a Trump loyalist, and he's denying the election. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I appreciate that. And thank you for the other $5. I live in Seattle, and jobs, especially in infrastructure, electricians, plumbers, thrive out here. This is such cap from her. I appreciate that, Chris. Thanks, man. Cindy, thank you for the $5 as well. Saturday Night Entertainment. Thank you for being here, Cindy. Leah, thank you for the $1. I live in Florida and our abortion amendment was not passed, so it's going down to the states. It's not actually helpful. Sorry, listening to live and feeling angry. Yeah, I feel that. Melissa, thank you for the $5. I appreciate you. Aaron, thank you for the $3. Harry, I'm a 55-year-old teacher. We love teachers from Pittsburgh and so amazed by your ability to keep up the fight with these ridiculous people. I wish I had more to give right now. Take as much time as you need. Aaron. I appreciate you being here. And thank you for being a teacher as well. As I said, we love teachers. Justice, thank you for the $20. You rock for trying to educate people who are so ignorant. Well, we try our best. Sometimes successful, sometimes unsuccessful. Jaleese, thank you for the $3. I appreciate you. Her profile is misinformation. The filters are not accurate representation of her. Wow, I can't read that on a live. Mary Kate, thank you for the 50 cent. I appreciate you. You should. I see. I'm reading your messages. I won't read it on live, but you should make sure your ballot. Or you have the opportunity to carry your ballot, I think, in Pennsylvania. Kara, thank you for the $10 as well. Is it true that Kamala is asking for a full recount? No, it is not. Evelyn, thank you for the $3. Love you, kiddo. You're doing good work. Never give up. I appreciate you, Evelyn. Thank you for being here. All right. If you are MAGA, you want to come up and debate, feel free to do so. I just invited somebody that's spamming like MAGA in the chat with certain characters. I don't know. But if you are MAGA, you can let us know in the chat if you voted for
While
Trump.
We're waiting here, real quick, we have 5,000 people in the room. Harry is not even at 1 million yet. If everybody here taps until that little bar in the upper left fills up twice, Harry will be at 1 million in no time. Now, I do know that there are some MAGAs here who are gloating. I see them in the comments here. They may not tap, so I need you guys to be like a blue state and subsidize a red state. Maybe fill up the bar 4 times to help cover those guys.
There you go. I like that. I like that way to put it. What's up, my man? Are you vote for Trump?
Yeah, I did vote for Trump.
How old are you, bro?
18.
Yeah. What year were you born?
2006.
What state you vote in? Just out of curiosity.
North Carolina.
Oh, that hurts. All right. Why'd you vote for Trump, man?
Well, honestly, I kind of just like him more as a person than Harris. I just like hearing him talk more. But I also think, it seems like right now he's already done a lot of things. And he's not even sworn into office yet.
What has he done already?
He's already been communicating with world leaders like Putin.
So it's pretty typical that after somebody's elected and they are president-elect, world leaders will call them. That's the same thing that they did for Biden in 2020. They did it for Trump in 2016, Obama in 12, and so on and whatnot.
I mean, if you say Trump is so terrible, then why do you think a majority of America voted for him?
I think that a lot of people bought into his comments on inflation and immigration, even though I think that he lied to a bunch of people. A lot of people believed him or voted for it, at least.
But if do you think that Harris was telling the truth about all the things she was going to do?
Yeah.
But the American people didn't seem to think that because they didn't want to vote for her.
Yeah, so the American people voted for Donald Trump. I'm not disputing that. But, still like 70 million people voted for Kamala Harris, or at least it's up to like 71 right now. And Trump has 74. So it's not a small amount of people,
So you think our country's going to fail with Trump?
I hope it doesn't. But I think that with Trump in office, it's far more likely that our country is hurt as opposed to helped.
Damn. All right. Well, I'll let you talk to someone else.
All right, man. You have a good one. What a character. Venmo Cash App in the link in the bio for myself and Law of the Wild. Law of the Wild's Venmo Cash Apps go to helping people. He's a public defender, so he helps them with fees that come with being arrested, if you can even imagine that. Also, make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time still, and we already hit 1 mil likes. I mean, that's all the doing of Law of the Wild. We have to thank him. That's really cool. You guys just shot that up right there. I appreciate all of you. And of course, follow Law of the Wild as well. Couldn't I recommend that more,
Thank you for tapping, guys. Our shares are still a little light here. We're sitting at, by my count, 500. So if you guys could all share it out to your favorite MAGA friends, the people who you will avoid at Thanksgiving dinner, all those family members, and let's get some good conversations.
Absolutely. Hold on. Let me try to get this person. Mods, by any chance, could you assist in cleaning up the box a little bit? And while we try to get somebody up here, I just looked at Law of the Wild's profile, and he's sitting at 36.8 thousand followers. Can we get 200 people to follow Law of the Wild really quickly to get him up to 37,000? I feel like we can do that. He's a public defender in Minnesota, folks. We love public defenders. So you got to give Law of the Wild a follow, man. Come on now. What are we? 200 followers? We can do that. There's 5,000 people. 5,500 actually. Got to give Law of the Wild a follow, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, now if you're MAGA, let me know, and we can you can come on up. You can come on up. Followed Law, good. I love to see it. Let us know if you're MAGA, you voted for Donald Trump. You want to come up and tell us why you did so. Very much disagree. Very much disagree. Let's try to get this guy up here. I don't know if he's going to load in. Oh, he did. Brian, hello. Can you hear us?
Yeah, how you doing there?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. A lot better now. Trump's president.
Well, he's not president, but anyway.
Well, yeah, but he will be soon.
Yeah, 70-ish, 71, 70-ish days. So why did you vote for Trump?
The economy.
What do you think he's going to do to make the economy better?
Same thing he did in 2016.
Which was
he's
what?
going to reduce taxes and regulations.
So how did his reduction of taxes specifically, or regulation, whatever you want to hit on, help the economy?
It gave us more money in our pocket to spend at the bar.
Wait, what? They give you more money? Okay. So how did the tax cuts directly lead to you having more money in your pocket? And how does that lead to long-term growth for the United States?
I had $80. I had $80 extra in my paycheck a week.
So you're saying that Trump somehow...
and now the taxes are more?
No, yeah, now I don't have the $80.
Brian, I've got some real interesting news for you.
I got some for you too.
Oh, I can't wait. I'll go first, then you can go. We're still under Trump's tax plan until the end of 2025.
But Biden added more fuel taxes 11 times.
Fuel taxes come out of your paycheck?
No, it's more money comes out of our paycheck. We got to buy fuel, gas.
Well, but you said you had $80 more on your paycheck under Trump than you do under Biden.
Right. 401k dropped down too.
What?
Your 401k did not drop down.
Your work better find better investors, because everybody else's 401k has skyrocketed.
I don't know who's doing your investing for you, buddy. You got to figure that one out.
It's starting to go back up, and it went down 2 years ago. It dropped rock bottom. It started to go back up though.
The S&P 500 has like almost doubled under the Biden presidency.
What are you investing in?
The past year it has. Past maybe 2 years.
In the past 2 years? In the past 2 years, the S&P 500 is up 2,247 points.
Yeah, the past 2 years. But the 2 years before that, it wasn't.
I mean, there was like downfalls because of COVID, but you're saying that your 401k crashed, and your 401k did not crash if the S&P 500 is up.
No, it didn't crash, but it dropped.
But from the moment that Biden came into office to now, if you're invested in something like the S&P 500 or whatever tracker you're invested in, your investments have gone up a lot.
Not a lot.
A lot.
I'm at 120,000.
You're at $120,000 in investments?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what that.
I should be at 300,000.
What rate of return are you looking for, my man? What the hell are you trying to invest in?
19.9. It's always been around 19.
Revan, thank you. What tracker are you invested in that has a rate of return of 19% per year?
I can't tell. What does it?
I'm baffled. Like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, none of this stuff has an average of 19% returns. It's like 7 or 8% actually.
No, sometimes 12.
What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, this is crazy, bro. I would. Okay.
But anyway, the fuel taxes and regulations. If you get rid of that, you got a great economy.
That's it.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
No.
You don't think fuel taxes and fuel regulations?
What fuel tax has Biden imposed?
But hasn't he?
No fuel taxes have been imposed by Biden.
You might want to look that up.
Yeah, happily. What would you like me to look up? I'll do your research for you. I'll make an exception.
He raised fuel taxes 11 times.
Biden raised fuel in 4 years. He raised fuel taxes 11 times.
Yes, and added 7 regulations.
Yeah, so I just looked up. I just looked up. Biden raises fuel taxes. Nothing comes up. The only thing that comes up in terms of Biden proposing an increase on fuel is for private jets. And I don't think that your average American is going to be impacted by private jets having to pay more in taxes for their fuel.
So why the fuel been so more expensive under Biden?
Because during the pandemic, there was a lack of supply because nobody was traveling, so demand was low, so people cut supply so they could still make money. Because at one point, barrels of oil were trading in the negative, so you'd have to pay somebody to take your oil, essentially, in theory. So they cut production so demand would be met and kind of the prices would stabilize. But then people came out of the pandemic and supply didn't meet demand. People were going back to work, they were traveling, they were going on planes and all that good stuff. So demand went really high, supply had stayed low for quite some time. And so that's why prices went up. It's Econ 101. And then supply took quite some time to meet demand again. But now prices have stabilized. They've been stabilized for quite some time.
Well, the China flu didn't happen until his last year in office. First 3 years, the China flu.
Oh, wow. Is that worthy of a kick, Law? Is that a kick right there?
Yeah.
It's close.
Come on now.
What is the chance?
It's 3 years in office.
I think you'll get on out. I think you'll get on out there.
Just for the record, the federal excise tax on gasoline has been 18.4 cents since 1993.
Yeah. Oh my God. Cora, thank you for the $1. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you, Cora, for all that you do. And Catherine, thank you for the $1. I love what you do. I live in Washington State. I'm disgusted of what that woman said about immigrants. My mom has been in this country for over 20 years and can't afford to become a citizen. She's not a criminal. Totally agree, Catherine. As I said to her, like, they love to a lot of, I'd say Trump supporters and Trump himself more like love to put everything, all of the problems on somebody else. They love to blame groups. So it might be immigrants on one thing. And as she was saying, like, oh, trans policy disencourage people from enlisting in the military. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. So anyway, and Jack, thank you for the 69 cents. Appreciate you. And hold on. And Kelsey, thank you for Kelsey, thank you for the $42 on Cash App. Fill the chat with W's for Kelsey. I really appreciate that. Shout out you. And no message from you, Kelsey. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. You're the best. Kinsley, thank you for the $1. Chris just went live on your YouTube. Oh my God, bro. Mary, thank you for the $10. I appreciate you. Let me make sure that's not happening.
Text. Nadia, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate it. We'll put it to good work. While Harry Angry texts Chris right now, if everybody could do another tap run, fill up the bar 2 times, I would greatly appreciate it. And let's get them up to 1.5 million in no time. Good job on the shares too. We're over 1,000. I appreciate you guys.
How you doing, Harry?
What's up, Matt? Oh, I know you. I know you. I don't. You didn't vote for Trump,
huh?
You didn't vote for Trump.
Correct, but I just had to tell you something.
Okay.
The 3 reasons I believe Trump won.
Okay.
Don't laugh. A plane, a microphone, and rallies.
What do you mean?
That's why Trump won the election. A plane, a microphone, and rallies.
Are you talking about
Kamala had those too.
Yeah,
you got the word out. I believe personally, Harry, that Harris lost the moment she answered that question the way she did.
Which question?
If she would do anything different than Biden, and she said no. I think at that moment she lost the election. Personally.
Interesting.
I could be wrong, but I really believe that question is what sunk her ship. I really do.
Maybe I don't know. I'm not so convinced. I'm not so convinced personally. But
so you and I'll be honest. This is the first year I voted Democrat because my brother and his wife in California convinced me that he's been an asshole pretty much since birth, and his spoiled brat who has handed tons of dough really is worthless piece of shit. And so I voted Democrat for Harrison Walls, and I'm from Minnesota. I live in Kansas now, Harry. I moved August 6th after my father passed. But
sorry to hear that.
So I think you and Law, be honest. Did you have any idea the race would be as close as it was? Or, I mean, were you pretty sure Harris would win this election?
I know. I always said it was going to be like 50-50. It just came down to turnout. And I think it still did come to down to turnout.
But did you, be honest, did you think that she would win?
I thought it was leaning to her direction. Yeah. But I really think it wasn't like a 60-40 situation. I really thought it was 50-50. It was a coin toss in my view.
How about you, Law?
I thought she was going to win with like 270 electoral votes. I thought it was going to be much closer than it was.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think caused a loss to the good folk?
I think, from my perspective, we have a tremendously uninformed voter base that are susceptible to very simple messaging. Like if we hear it every day, like Harry's probably talked to a few thousand people over the course of this race, and every single night, 70% of the people come up and say 5 of the same things: build the wall, drill baby drill, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, mass deportation. Like all of those things are bumper stickers. And Kamala Harris had more well thought out and well portrayed plans on every single thing, but they required explanations. Like her economic policy was 82 pages. It was comprehensive. It answered virtually every question you could have had about her economic policy. And Trump's was no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and tariffs. And people who don't bother looking beyond those simple words don't understand that we can't do that. He building the wall doesn't fix our immigration problems. It doesn't fix the asylum problem. Close the border. He can't do that. There's no mechanism for him to do that under our environment and under our laws. But people just look at the messaging, and we only see a small slice of the people. We see the slice of the people who are like, I'm ready to do policy with Harry. And so we see the boldest of the bold, and Harry dog walks them on policy like every day, all day, all night long. And yet, like, it doesn't sink through. I just think that the Democratic Party, if they want to be successful, has to come up with really succinct messaging that would resonate with people.
Do either of you think, like, I believe that if Elon Musk is not in the picture at all, Trump loses the election?
Maybe.
I don't think he had that much power.
No, I believe he did, because he put 8 million people on the ground, door to door to door to door, kind of behind the scenes that nobody knew about, and was gave away $1 million a day for people to join his bullshit. Don't get me wrong, he's a very, very smart man, but the fact that he was on Trump's side makes puts him in the toilet, basically, as far as I'm concerned. But I really believe if she answers that question differently, she wins the election, and doesn't answer it by saying that now she really wouldn't change anything, because that's what the people were looking for in the Democrats in this election is change. And when they asked her that, she said, basically, I wouldn't change anything. And I think at that moment it really cost her. I really do.
Maybe.
It's unfortunate.
Maybe. All right, man. Well, hey, Don, good to talk to you again. You have a good rest of your night, all right?
All right, here. You take care, bud. Take
Thanks,
care.
Sir. Appreciate it.
Yep.
1 second. Brittany, thank you for the $10. SA Survivor, anti-Trump. Brittany, keep fighting. We need you in this fight. Caitlin, thank you for the $10 as well. Thank you so much for educating me on the issues before the election. Caitlin, thank you for being here and still being here. I appreciate you both. And Brittany, I appreciate you as well. The fact that you're still involved and still fighting is admirable. Seriously. All right, Grizzlies, why did you vote for Trump? I see you have a Trump flag in your profile picture.
Oh, pretty amazing how you look at profiles. Yeah.
What?
You lost. Get over it.
We did. Yeah, we lost. We lost the election. Yeah.
Why do you keep harping on it? Why?
We're not harping on it.
It is what it is. Yeah, you are.
You're the one that brought up the fact that we lost. It's like, we're not really talking about the election right now. I'm just asking why you voted for Trump.
Oh, really? Let
me save us some time. Do you want to talk about why you voted for Trump, or do you want to just be an angry middle-aged weirdo?
Oh, so you're so respectful, aren't you?
I'm sorry. I don't have patience for you right now. So the choice is yours.
You never have respect for anyone. You are young.
Are you just gonna? This is not a therapy session, my man. This is not a therapy session. What do you want to do here? The choice is yours.
You, Parker, Dean, and Chris are the ones that need therapy. Okay, and this little dipshit down there below, this law of life or whatever, whatever hell he is.
Wild.
Yeah. He's a lawyer. Sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Do you want to have a debate with him on something?
Here we go. Let's go debate. Let's go policies. Let's go this. Once you guys live real life, get out in the life and live it.
Just stop being angry for 5 seconds. You need to should just go outside and go to therapy. So do you want to talk to Law? You just called Law the Wild a dipshit and questioned his
I didn't say that. No.
Yes, you did.
Say that.
You literally
said that. I did.
You literally just said that.
You said this dipshit below me.
Yeah. Okay. Then I did.
Okay. It's okay. So, do you want to talk to him about something regarding the law, or no?
Let's clap. Do
you want to talk about something? Do you want to talk about something regarding the law with him, or no?
He doesn't know the law.
He doesn't. So how about you debate any of the Trump cases? You can debate any of the Trump legal cases against the law.
You guys can say what you want.
Just
first of all, I don't know how.
If you're so confident that he's not a lawyer, talk to him about something regarding the law.
No, I'm tired of interrupting everybody else.
Hey, listen. Hey, zip it, little man. Zip it, little man. You're muted now. What a shame. How about you debate Law of the Wild on something, any legal case you want? Any legal case. You can pick any of the legal cases against Donald Trump. How about that? Yeah.
Let's just go. You little punks. Okay. And I'm sorry. The four of you are.
You have a good rest of your night, man. Go hug the body pillow that's waiting for you in bed. The Trump one with the hair. Got to wash it every once in a while. It's starting to smell. All right.
I was really hoping he wanted to talk about the benefits of non-mutual promise estoppel. That would have been really fun. But instead, I just get called a dipshit.
Yeah. Angry, a very angry man. Jessica, thank you for the $10. Thank you both. Also, Larry's voice is relaxing. Do we have a Larry? Who? Larry? I meant to say Law or Larry. Did we have a Larry Law? Larry Law?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Anyway, I appreciate it, Jessica. Stacy, thank you for the $1. Is it true that Starlink was used at polls? Not that I know of. And RJ, thank you for the $1 with the FDT and a blue heart. I appreciate you, my man. And Bria, thank you for the $1. Hey, hello, Harry. I'd love to get more into politics. Can you respond to my TikTok message with some information? I will absolutely, Bria. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio for me and Law of the Wild. And of course, make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. Follow Law of the Wild as well. He does amazing work. And of course, double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 1.5 million likes. We're almost there. So if you're MAGA, let us know and we'll bring you up and you can tell us why you voted for Donald Trump. Donna says, why are the MAGAs still so angry? I don't know. That man is just a very angry man.
Yeah, very angry man. And you were, I didn't say anything, but I caught fire. I don't know why.
You got strays.
Yeah, but yeah, you were just like, okay, fine. Yep, I'm dumb. I suck. Let's talk policy. Let me yell some more.
yeah. That's pretty much how the conversation went. As it feels like it does so often. I don't know. Lee, why you voted for Trump?
Oh yes, I did.
You did. Why?
Yeah. A lot of reasons, but I have questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Do you think on your guys' next, election, or that's what you guys think you're going to use like Taylor Swift and Beyonce and all them again, or you think that was a bad idea on your guys' end to use all that for political, reasons?
No, I still think that like Taylor Swift and Beyonce endorsing Kamala Harris is good.
You didn't think it was a little distasteful for the middle class people?
No, I think that they drove like hundreds of thousands of people to register to vote, or at least check the voter registration website and check their registration. They brought attention to these issues, and Taylor Swift has a huge audience, many of which, not every single person that listens to Taylor Swift in the United States or is a fan of Taylor Swift in the United States is involved in politics and pays attention to these issues. So the fact that she brought awareness to a lot of them, I think, is a good thing.
I just think your party just did not connect with the majority, of people, like it was, it just wasn't connecting good. I don't know. I think when you guys go back and look at things, these are things you're going to have to change to win the next election, I think, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know, like, if it's that the message didn't connect, or it's just that the message didn't get out there, or that people were just unhappy, so they just voted for Trump, because they thought that Trump would bring down their inflation. I really don't think that like Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris or Beyonce endorsing Kamala Harris dissuaded any swing voters. I think if somebody was going to vote for Trump based off of that, they were always going to vote for Trump.
Well, I'm just trying to be helpful, and I'm trying to tell you, the reason I voted for Trump, I have zero connection with anything that Democrats are with. And I don't know if you guys are in the future going to be able to connect better with everyday middle class people like that. So, you guys are going to have to change it up. I'm just being honest.
What about Trump's policies resonated with you? Like what policy specifically?
I know it gets touchy with you guys, and you guys got the border. I personally felt like it was a little out of control. His tax benefits helped me and my business, and pretty much his as not as much as policies. His views just connected with me, and my family. And let's just hope he sticks with everything that he ran on, and I'll be more than happy if Trump.
So you want him to put on his 10 to 20% tariffs on everything coming into the United States?
I think the tariffs are a must, man. I don't see how you guys don't agree with this, because, like, how is it okay for them to put tariffs on us and we're not allowed to do it to them?
That's not even the argument that we're making. Like, we want to avoid trade wars. Wouldn't you agree?
Not necessarily. If things got to get better, we're going to have to take some sacrifice to. We can't just let everybody walk all over us.
You recognize that the sacrifice you're talking about primarily hurts working people.
If that's the case, so be it. But I'm sure it'll go in the right direction. There's a mess to clean up on aisle 6, man, and we're going to have to start it now. Okay.
But the problem is a 10 to 20% blanket tariff on everything. And let's just assume that nobody does retaliatory tariffs on us. Is going to be detrimental to people who rely on imported goods, people who shop at Walmart, people who like to buy bananas at the grocery store, people who like the ability to get apples in January. It's going to be detrimental to people who spend a large proportion of their income on just their basic living needs.
I understand, but I don't think he's trying to do. I think he's starting at 20%, but he's a businessman. He's not going to. They'll negotiate to a good rate. I mean, what is the rate right now that Biden's administration's using on a tariff right now? Which one is it that they stuck with? Didn't they stick with the tariff that they did, that Trump did?
Well, he got rid of about a quarter of the tariffs that Trump had. But there are some tariffs that make sense. I think targeted tariffs are really good. Like, for example,
what's the percentage?
I don't know the percents, but I know what products that they're targeting. For example, EVs coming out of China and batteries for EVs that come from China. There's targeted tariffs on that because the Chinese government heavily subsidizes those industries so that China can corner the global market. So when there's government manipulation in the market, that's keeping the market from operating not on a supply and demand curve, but on a artificially decreased costs for those products. There's benefits to the United States putting a targeted tariff on them to make sure that other competitors have a chance to enter the space. I think that's smart tariffs. Putting a 20% tariff on everything just hurts poor people.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. The average tariff rate in the United States is 2%, and it's closer in some instances to 1.5%.
I think he'll get it to 5-6. How's that sound?
But he's not advertising 5 to 6. By the way, I don't know what you mean he's going to get it to that. Like, there's no. What negotiation are you saying is going to go on here?
Well, he's probably starting at 20%, and once he starts negotiating these tariffs, maybe they'll agree. They'll be like, whoa, 20% is too high, but we'll agree to 5 or 6%, and that'll be good for our country.
So you're saying that Trump is running on bad economic policy? You're saying that he has to be negotiated down off of the policy that he ran on?
No, it's a part about it's bargaining. It's business. Maybe he starts at 20%. I don't think anybody's going to agree to the 20%. Okay, I'll agree with you on that. No one's going to.
But who has to agree? You just keep saying they're going to negotiate him down. Who's they? Who's negotiating this?
Well, if he's negotiating to do tariffs with China or Mexico, maybe he starts high, but they'll end up maybe negotiating with a better number.
But China is not part of these negotiations.
Maybe they will be. They're already talking.
They weren't part of the negotiations the first time Trump was president and he put some tariffs on them.
He just enforced them, is what you're saying? Is that how it works?
Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe law can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a one-sided thing.
Yeah, it's not like and that's why, like, after Trump instituted his steel tariffs, China hit back on the United States with excessive tariffs on soybeans. I live in Minnesota. We got a whole lot of soybean farmers here. It decimated them so bad, like they could not find people to, they could not find co-ops that would buy their soybeans because they didn't have anybody to sell them to, that the government had to do a bailout of soybean farmers in order to make up for, their lost revenues, or at least a portion of them. That's the consequence of doing these mass tariffs, is they hit us back and it hurts other industries.
Yeah, but what's the tariff that China puts on U.S. cars going into China? What is their tariff towards us?
I don't know what their rate is.
I don't have my computer, but I mean, why is it okay for them to do that to us? I don't understand. Like, that's so not American for us just to take abuse from other countries like that. It's not right.
So, but we're not. China is not putting like 25% tariff on everything that the United States is sending to them. And a lot of the tariffs that China put on the United States were in retaliation for the tariffs that Trump put on them. So if Trump would have never done that, they wouldn't have put a bunch of tariffs on us. And also, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here first. When a tariff is instituted and it's a tax on goods that are being imported, who pays that tax? Is it China?
No. Obviously, we pay. It gets brought down to the consumer. I understand.
Right. So it gets brought down to the consumer and the businesses, right?
Yes, but
so we all have to pay it, right?
But okay. But if we all got to pay it, then you know what? Then let's start producing our own stuff in our own country. We got young men over here that need a future. They need a job to get into. So why not try to get our citizens to do these jobs? You can make a living off of it. Why not?
That law just talked about. You buy apples in the winter, right?
I do. Yes, I do.
So apples don't grow in the United States in the winter.
Hey, listen, I'm willing to sacrifice anything I can to make our country better. Okay, and if it
y'all just agree with free trade, I just whatever.
It's way better.
What is okay? So
I don't think that.
Sorry, go ahead. Why does Trump, to you, want to enforce tariffs on other countries? Why do you think he's wanting to do that? Why?
I genuinely have no idea. I don't see any reason. Like, I think it sounds politically attractive, so he just keeps going around saying tariffs, that'll solve all our problems, tariffs. His lie is that China pays for it. So he actually lies about the purpose of tariffs, or what tariffs are and how they work, to get people to vote for him. But in terms of like, why would that actually be a good idea from a policy perspective? I don't know. Why would also anybody vote for that? I have no idea. And I couldn't fathom it, especially when Republicans have been screaming for years that somehow Biden isn't responsible for inflation and things are so expensive they can't live. And then they vote for somebody who wants to make quite literally everything you buy 10 to 20% more expensive. Some things even 200% more expensive, because that's the number he floated with just China as a country. I have no idea.
I think it was because they're putting tariffs on us, and we're paying a ridiculous amount of money on the tariffs that they charge us for us to ship our products to a different country. We're getting charged, but we're not charging anything.
That's just not true.
Not a fair
but I mean, like, even the automobile tariff was a retaliatory tariff because of Trump's. So it's like, wouldn't it be better to just negotiate with these countries and say, hey, why don't we have free trade agreements where as long, we won't tariff your products as long as you're not manipulating your currencies or, engaging in unfair market practices. Any of those industries that you're not touching in, we're not going to tariff, and then you don't tariff us.
And that's, you know what? That's a good start. So maybe
why the fuck
maybe
for Trump?
But maybe he has to do this kind of tactic to make that happen. You have to start somewhere. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is. He just hasn't said that, so I have no reason to believe that's going to happen.
But also, we wouldn't be in this this trade war retaliatory tariff mess if Trump was never president the first time. So he couldn't negotiate with these countries the first time. Now you expect him to suddenly be able to negotiate with these countries with 10 to 20% tariffs?
Okay, so
we're so fucked. Oh my God!
I'm going to go right back to my point that I'm trying to make to you. Why is it okay for China to put a tariff on GM and Ford and Chrysler to ship their cars there, but for them to sell their Toyotas and all their stuff here, we don't put a tariff on them? I mean, how is that okay? How is that okay?
What did Lotho just say about the automobile tariff?
They did that because we tariffed them. Like the steel tariffs, that was a retaliatory tariff to the steel tariffs that we put on them.
So if we just didn't, that wouldn't happen. So you're asking, why is China doing this to us? Trump.
I don't know if that's actual.
I encourage you to look it up.
That's all I was trying to say. But I mean, I will look it up. But you know, I'm pretty much sure China was putting tariffs on vehicles for a long time here. I don't think this has been going on for a long time.
So then why would we have more tariffs? Why would we elect more person to put more? Anyway, it just doesn't make any sense to us, man.
I'm just looking it up.
And while we wait, just temporarily, Jaden, thank you for the $3. Harry, I voted in PA. Me and my mom stood in line and proud voted for Kamala Harris. We might have lost, but Democrats know how to continue to fight. Also, if you can, I DM you on TikTok, sending love. Jaden, definitely will get back to you. And I appreciate you standing in line and waiting it out and voting for Kamala Harris. You're awesome. Jen, thank you for the $1. Can you let me up? I have a question for sure. You can also feel free to message me anytime if you have a question. Emily, thank you for the $25 as well from Space Ranger, aka Emily. Thank you for standing up. Yo, Emily, thank you so much for the $25. That's incredibly kind. That's very generous. And Anaya, thank you for the $1. I think they meant Harry, not Larry. You probably
that makes way more sense.
That would make way more sense.
Why didn't we connect that?
It's the liberals. We're just not that bright. We're the liberals. Makes way more sense.
Just a dipshit. July of 2018 was when China imposed a retaliatory tariff on American-made vehicles.
Tax increase of 3.6 billion. Please.
Yo, and Donald, thank you for the $40 that just came in on Cash App. Yo, Donald, I appreciate you so much. Show some love for Donald in the chat. Fill the chat with W's for my man Donald. And this Donald we actually like, folks. This is not a bad Donald. This is a good Donald. We love Donald. Thank you, Donald. I appreciate you, man. Shout out, Donald. It's the only time I'll ever say that.
Oh, this is a huge rabbit hole here. Okay, so yeah, you're right. So Trump put in March 2018 put a tariff on China with the steel and aluminum, and then you're saying in turn China countered back, correct?
Yep, with the tax on U.S. made vehicles.
Yeah, but then this just keeps coming. It keeps going back down and more.
Yeah, so break the cycle and stop the trade war.
Yeah, but okay, then who's going to stop it? China or there's going to have to be a fight here, right?
I would imagine the person best suited to stop it wouldn't be the one who said that they're going to increase the tariffs to 200%.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, but I mean, I think he's just trying to. That's how business people work. Okay, you start high and they'll come to terms. You guys know they will. I mean.
You got to hear the hypocrisy of what you're saying right now, right? Like you can't play both sides. You can't justify Trump making his stuff in China while also saying, well, if John Deere moves abroad, Trump should tariff them. Should Trump's products be tariffed?
But he's not running.
Wait. Should Trump's products be tariffed?
I guess, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, is Elon Musk stuff going to be tariffed too?
I mean, according to Donald Trump, I guess maybe he'll make an exception for his buddy.
Yeah, maybe, right? But I'm just saying, he's working for the American people. He's not working for Trump. Okay, he's running on the American as a president, not as Trump for his business. It's got nothing to do with his business.
Yeah, but if he's saying that certain products or certain companies that might move abroad to China are going to get tariffed, then Trump should also say that he should tariff himself.
Yeah, but do you find it okay for John Deere to move to China?
No, I would love for them to stay in the United States, but I don't think that the solution to get them to stay here is putting a 200% tariff on them.
Well, maybe that will work and they'll stay.
I'm sure.
Right?
I'm sure that threatening big companies with 200% tariffs is what's gonna make them stay.
Such small government.
Such small government.
Yeah, but when Ford and GM and Chrysler were going under, and the American taxpayer bailed them out from going bankrupt, and then all of a sudden, in turn, like say Ford says, "Hey, we're going to go to China," you think that's absurd? You can't even talk like that. Like how are you taking us to bail you out, but you're going to go to China now? I mean, that's just not how it works. I mean, John Deere made all its money in America. Now they're going to bail to China and go.
Yeah, nobody's supporting them going to China, but the way to keep them in the government, the way to keep them in the United States is not threatening them with a 200% tariff. We can be business friendly and not like threaten the businesses. And also, again, as Law of the Wild just said, small government. What was that all about? Isn't Trump the guy who said, "Oh, we should reduce the government"? Now he's, threatening businesses.
Fewer regulations, just not these regulations.
So anyway, it all comes back to the fact that like one of the reasons you voted for Trump is things are expensive, and then you're acknowledging that his policies would make things more expensive.
I never said I voted for Trump because things were expensive.
So that was the economy was not one of your reasons, or in terms of the price of things was not one of your reasons?
Well, obviously, but for me, I'm not in a position where things like that. No, I ran more on his views. I do not connect with the Democrat Party. That's when I first came on here. That's what I was just trying to tell you. I mean, come on, man. You're giving Beyonce and you're having concerts and people are coming to her rallies because of Beyonce, and that's not connecting with the human, like majority of the human population. Like most of the people over here they're just trying to live. They're not trying to go to a Beyonce concert, okay? That's like just poor election management. It was just, I don't know. You guys got to change it up because that's why you guys lost. I'm telling you right now.
I really don't think it's because Beyonce had a rally for Kamala Harris. I really don't think that's why the Democrats didn't win.
But even like the thing, like Americans were just trying to watch football, man. People were just trying to watch an NFL game, and we got all this Taylor Swift shit.
Oh, no, you can't be serious.
No, you guys killed it. You guys killed yourselves, honestly.
You can't be serious. You can't be complaining about Taylor Swift being shown by, like, whatever, NBC or Fox while football games are going on. You cannot be serious.
One more thing, but since I'm going on a little rant here, your guys' polls. Your polls, dude. I mean, wow, are they off? I mean, come on.
The polls were not that off, to be honest.
They're
damn off.
The polls had them dead even on a national polls, and it's going to be fairly close to that.
Yeah,
with the popular vote, you're saying?
Yeah, on a national level.
I mean,
and
yeah, they had Trump slightly ahead, and then kind of dead even right into the election.
Yeah,
I just kept saying, my whole time I kept saying 50, 51. 49. That's what I saw. At the end, what did the number end up coming out to be?
And also,
they're still counting.
Yeah, they're still counting. We don't know what it's going to be. But Trump is, as it stands right now, this moment, Trump's at 50.5. Kamala Harris is at 47.9. But also, California's only counted 66% of their votes. So a lot of those votes are still coming in. Oregon's only counted 84% of their votes. Washington's only counted 91%. These are very blue states. So she'll definitely increase in number in terms of popular vote. But, the votes, like in Wisconsin, for example, the election was less than 1%. Trump won by 0.9%, which was kind of in line with polls. It was like a coin toss, well within the margin of error. Michigan was also well within the margin of error. Trump won by 1.4% there. Pennsylvania was a bigger margin at 3%, but within the margin of error of most polls. Georgia was within 2%, within the margin of error of most polls. Georgia, Trump was leading by for the most part. In some polls had him 4 or 5, and that's probably what's going to end up being, although the votes are still being counted. Same in Nevada. It's around 4% right now. So the polls were not off. They were
not as bad as 2016.
Definitely not as bad as 2016, and all of these are within the margin of error. So
I think you guys should definitely stop looking at polls because I don't think they're helpful at all.
Well, tell that to your guy. Your guy was bragging about polls all the time, saying we're up in the polls. All the time he said that.
He was right. I mean, on his polls, but you guys have all different kind of polls, and the Democrats have their own kind of polls that they look at, and Republicans have their polls they look at. But I just felt like your guys' polls were completely...
I don't know what you mean by your guys' polls. Like, we don't... Like, for the most part, a lot of the polls that were flooded in the last couple of weeks of the election were done by Republican pollsters or nonpartisan. So I don't know what you mean by your polls.
Well, there seems like there's multiple polls, and like, let's say a Democrat news station more looks at the more favorable polls. I believe that's what I took out of all this.
I don't know about any of that. I know Fox, likes to cherry pick a little bit, but
there was a different poll. They're always different. Like so that means there are probably multiple polls. But despite that, I'm just saying you guys have to do a better job connecting with the people. And to be honest with you, I think you guys need to go back to more like a Bill Clinton type of Democrat. Okay.
Well, we'll see what happens.
You guys are way too left, man. Way too left for people.
You guys are way too right.
I would agree a little bit. And I would say hopefully after Trump, we kind of stay away from the right too much, because then you're right, because on the next election, we might lose. But I'm just saying, way too left, man. That's
gotcha. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming up. I appreciate the conversation.
You have a good night.
Thanks.
So I do got to correct myself. It was not a 200% tax on China. That was the John Deere ones, which you guys talked about. He did say a 60% tax or tariff on Chinese imports. So correcting myself there.
Wait, I actually think I might have said the same thing. So I appreciate you saying that, because I might have said on all goods.
Yeah, and I think I either heard somebody else and it registered it wrong. Oh,
yo, Mike, thank you for the Future City. I appreciate you, big man.
That's cool.
Appreciate you. Sorry, continue.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I think I may have just mixed those numbers up. It happens. I'm not above admitting when I made a mistake. Everybody, we got Terry to 1.6 million. There's 5,000 people here. Let's get them up to 2. Everybody fill up that bar 2 times. Headphone listeners, I'm calling you out. I know you guys aren't looking at the screen. You're doing whatever you're doing. Come back to the screen. Just fill up the bar 2 times, and I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Law. Allison, thank you for the $1. Thank you for giving women a voice when some of us don't have the platform to do so. We are on the right side of history. Damn right you are, Allison. You're absolutely on the right side of history. I want you to know that, even in the wake of the election. Nicole, thank you for the $10. Wanted to say libs are happy to unite across the aisle if Trumpers are willing to educate themselves and admit when they're wrong. 100%. As Biden has and Harris have consistently preached and practiced. Unity is good, and working across the aisle is good. Abby, thank you for the $2. You're the reason I'm educated. No, Abby, you're the reason you're educated. You decided to take the time to get involved in politics and read and listen. Give yourself some credit here, Abby. Cindy, thank you for the $5. The delusion is real with this one. You said it, not me. Seth, thank you for the $1. Hey, man, let me join the live. Let's have a civilized conversation. You're welcome to come up. And Rael, thank you for the $50 on Venmo. Fill the chat with W's for Rael. Thank you for standing up for all the brokenhearted and scared. My daughter deserved to have witnessed Madam President. We all did. You're 100% right. But not to give up, so stay in the fight. And I appreciate the $50. Fill the chat with W's for her. What a kind person. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And then on Cash App, Essence, thank you for the $5. I voted blue in PA, and you've educated me so much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you for voting blue. And Mike, thank you for the Future City as well, brother. I appreciate you. Daisy, thank you for the $1. Voted for Kamala because they showed T Swift on NFL. See, I'm telling you, she swayed votes. Julie, thank you for the $3. Sent a DM regarding missing votes. Can we get a recount? There's no missing votes. There's no recount. Trump won fair and square. We're not them. You know what I mean? We're not them. And Tashay, thank you for the $50 saying, please keep going, from a disabled veteran in North Carolina. Well, first and foremost, thank you for your service. I hope you know we all appreciate that, both left, right, and middle. And thank you for your $50. That's incredibly generous. And also a North Carolina blue voter. We love that. We love that. I still have faith in your state. I think in the coming years, it'll go blue. And Donna, thank you for the $10 as well. Thank you for continuing to educate. Can we please get some W's for Tashay in the chat along with everybody else? I appreciate all of you. All right. If you're MAGA, come on up. Tell us why. Tell us why you voted for Trump. Also, Venmo Cash App in the link in the bio for me, and Law of the Wild. Any Venmo Cash Apps that go to Law of the Wild go to helping people who have been arrested and the fines that come with being arrested. And they're mostly folks in need. So it goes a long way if you Venmo Cash App Law of the Wild. It all goes to a good cause. And also, of course, make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already, and follow Law of the Wild as well. Public defender. We love public defenders. So anyway, if you're MAGA, let us know. We'll bring you up. Let's see here. I'm from North Carolina in blue. Love to hear that. Love to hear that, man. Love to hear. I'm telling you, North Carolina is going to be, it's the swing state of the future. I know we lost it to Trump and we lost it to Trump again. And I guess we lost it the first time to Trump, but it's swinging blue. It's swinging blue. The data's there. Let's bring up Kyle. I just sent him an invite.
You spent some time in North Carolina, right?
I did spend some time in North Carolina. I have some hope. I have some hope for it. All right, Kyle. Hello.
How are you? Hello.
Good. How old are you?
23.
You voted for Trump?
Yes.
Hey, why?
Honestly, I've been listening to what everyone's saying. I think everyone's been missing the point a little bit. Because myself, I'm a moderate. I honestly, I'm pro-choice. Yeah, pro-choice, and I'm really for a lot of liberal-leaning things. I just think, to be honest, the Democratic Party missed a lot of what people were saying in terms of the table kitchen topics in terms of immigration and the economy. Not to say that Trump has done any better with it, to be honest. I honestly think I agree with you guys mostly that he's been pushing out a lot of lies, especially with the tariffs. They're going to have a lot of long-lasting effects negatively. But on the flip side of that, I don't think the Democratic Party respects the working class. I think it was a big mistake in terms of getting Mark Cuban involved in the campaign, and also Kamala pivoting from we're going to go after corporate businesses to we're actually going to help the rich more, which I think which damaged her campaign a lot.
What did she say that indicated that she wanted to help the businesses more than the middle class?
Well, throughout when she first started her campaign, it was we're gonna tax the corporate businesses massively. We're gonna even out the taxes for all classes, and then it got flipped on the other end of that midway through the campaign, where she started being for more I guess letting those big businesses grow in terms of helping those I guess upper middle class people to burgeoning to I guess that 1%, helping them grow further instead of
Kamala Harris never switched her policy from wanting to tax the wealthy.
I'm not saying her policy, her messaging more so.
Her messaging never changed. At the end of the campaign, she was talking about giving 100 million Americans a tax cut, and to make up for that by taxing the wealthy and their businesses more. And also, just reminder, Trump's best buddy on the campaign trail was Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. And during an interview, they both laughed at and bragged about firing workers who went on strike, or not paying people overtime and finding workers instead so they didn't have to pay overtime. That doesn't sound very pro middle class, pro worker to me.
Okay, so then this is just my opinion, I guess, and tell me if you think I'm wrong here. Do you feel the Democratic Party, this specific campaign, not in general, this specific campaign put out a message for the working class people that we're the party for you? Because to me, I agree with Bernie Sanders with his statement that he put out that the Democratic Party abandoned the working class, and in turn, they abandoned them. I agree with him on that point.
No, I think the Democrats ran a pro working class campaign. The Biden-Harris administration has been the most pro-union administration in history. Biden literally walked a picket line, was the first president to do so. They've saved the pensions of so many different union members around the country. And of course, Biden and Harris subsequently received the endorsements of major unions around the country, like the UAW. And they also stand in favor of protections for union members, allowing people to unionize if they want. And as I mentioned, wanting to give tax cuts to a lot of these hardworking folks who are in the middle class, who need that tax cut far more than Elon Musk needs that tax cut. Trump wants to give Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos that huge tax cut. Kamala Harris does not. So I don't see how you could say that Trump ran a more pro-worker campaign than Kamala Harris did.
I feel he didn't. That's just my opinion. I understand. I definitely. I'm like I said. I'm not a MAGA supporter. I'm more so just. I felt that the Democrats ran a poor campaign in order to win my vote. I feel that not really Kamala, but just the party in general, kept saying that Trump is this horrible person, which in most cases he is. I think we can all agree that he is. But in terms of winning over people's votes to vote for her, they did a poor job of that. I also do feel bad that they shoo her in like almost 100 days out from an election. So that worked against her as well, which I think is another fault of the Democratic Party. I think Joe Biden is at fault here for also not stepping down earlier to give her a longer campaign or a different nominee campaign. So I think there's a lot of faults there. I also think, and I'm not trying, this is going to sound a certain way. I also think as well that they did a poor job of really getting the swing voters, which in terms of young men in this campaign, which was crazy. The gender gap in this election was almost 60%, 65% of young men voted for Donald Trump, and about 65 to 70% of young women voted for Kamala. And so there's a really big disconnect there. I believe that's because the DNC and just the overall party in general doesn't have a message that is advantageous towards young men. And what I mean by that is, in terms of the messaging, if you go to dnc.org, they mention a bunch of people that the party is for. Young men is now nowhere mentioned in that message. And then Kamala declining to go on the Rogan podcast, declining to go on these more, I guess, right-wing to middle-of-the-road podcasts. She failed in that aspect. And I feel like with the Republicans, they had, I guess, like an Elon, a Hulk Hogan. Not to say that every young man is like that out there, but they had that message of like innovation and strength. And where the Democrats had a more of a Michelle Obama, and trying to think of another person that they had up there. Hold on, I'm just going to finish here. And in terms of trying to, work on the senses of a young man's like sense to protection and serve. And I feel some young men took that as a message to, well, we have to act more like a woman. Unfortunately, which is not the reality, obviously, but that's what most of the young men are going to think when they hear stuff like this. So honestly, I feel like the young men almost felt like we're not being heard in this election, and they went and voted for Trump, maybe under the guise of misinformation, but that's what the reality was.
Law of the Wild, I think you wanted to say something. I want to make sure you...
Yeah, I'm trying to think which of the 37 points I was chiming in on, but
yeah.
Do you think Trump was honest about the messaging that he was putting out there to capture these votes?
In my opinion, I think it was 50-50. I think with Trump, he says about 75 misinformation things, and then 25% is true. Honestly, that's just my opinion. But you have to understand, though, like...
And you voted for him.
Yeah, because this is my whole thing was Kamala didn't earn my vote. You have to earn. Yeah, I think, like I said, the messaging was a really big issue here. I think.
If she lied to you more, you would have voted to her.
No. The problem was she didn't give enough on her policy. It was more so we are the party of good people. She kept pushing the fascist Nazi narratives, not her specifically, but the party in general. When Joe Biden goes out and says all of his supporters are garbage,
she didn't say that.
Dude, come on. Dude, it was literally all over CNN, all the news networks. She literally goes,
the only supporters there's an apostrophe there. That's really important. It's in the official record. The apostrophe is in the official record in the transcript. And what he was saying is the speakers at Trump's MSG rally are garbage because they said that Puerto Rico is garbage.
I understand that. I'm not disputing that point there.
Okay.
My point,
so he didn't call you garbage. Just anyway, keep going. Just wanted to.
Okay. All right. Now,
actually, I can. If one last thing,
Okay.
You said that you didn't know much about Kamala Harris's policies, and that's why you didn't vote for her. You didn't understand her vote. What are Trump policies? Like, what are your top 3 favorite Trump policies that he proposed that you like?
I would say, in terms of, I know this is going to sound very crazy, but I really do like RFK being involved in his the health parts. I know, Harry. I know you want to kill me right now just by telling that statement. But I really did like RFK's policies in terms of. I honestly think he's a good addition to the administration. Some of his tax or removing taxes on tips. I really did like. I don't know if he's going to follow through on that, but in terms of if he does, that's great for me because I'm someone who works in the restaurant industry, so tips are a very big part of my income. So if he does remove taxes on tips, that's amazing for me.
God, you're in for a rude awakening. No offense. Sorry. But you work in the restaurant industry. When Trump's tariffs kick in, God, you're screwed. No offense. I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Like I said, it will remain to be seen. And I honestly think that this is just, like I said, like my opinion. I also, not that I'm for everybody's rights in this country. I do disagree though with some of the, not all Democrats do this, with some of the policies on like children and the children and transgender issues in terms of what Harry? It
doesn't have like whatever you're about to say. I guarantee. Just say it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. In terms of them being affirmed without parents' consent, I think that's a very big issue. I think parents should be informed of that decision. I'm not saying that I definitely disagree with Trump saying that, we should remove the rights of transgender people. That's very, very wrong. Everyone should have rights in this country, including anyone who decides to get gender transitioning. But
so that doesn't happen, by the way.
What
you just said, like kids having their like gender transition surgery or hormones or things like that without their parents being informed, that's not a thing.
So why was it such a big platform for both parties then if it's not a thing?
The Democrats did not run a platform in this because it doesn't exist. The Republicans made it up.
Kamala consistently campaigned on that issue, that she was going to protect transgender rights and she was going to make sure that these things stayed. And then
Yeah. So she wants to protect trans rights for sure. But in terms of kids getting gender transitioning hormones or surgery or anything like that without the parents knowing, somehow they just managed to obtain it by themselves, that doesn't exist.
There are cases like that though. No, I mean, if we could,
I don't know of any cases like that where a guardian is not informed of that being the case. That doesn't happen.
There's no mechanism for a child to consent to surgery.
Yeah.
What about gender? What about being affirmed though by a psychiatrist in terms of being affirmed?
The only policy provision that I heard discussed that Kamala did support was the ability for schools to not have to report when a child identifies to a trusted adult at the school, that they're not mandated to report that back to the parents. And I think that's important because not every child feels safe at home. Not every child feels safe, but they might have a trusted adult at school who they can talk to. And that information shouldn't be forced to be disclosed unless there is some identifiable harm that would result if the information wasn't disclosed.
Okay, got it. All right. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Then, yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, if that's the case, then all right. Well, then I disagree.
See?
I disagree.
Trump lies 75% of the time, tells you the truth 25% of the time. I think 25 is still incredibly generous. I think that's way, way too generous. But see, that's an example of Trump being dishonest. And also, he's not going to do his no taxes on tips. This whole no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. He's said, getting rid of income tax generally. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Could I ask you then, why did 74 million people vote for him?
I don't know. Well, I do know. I don't agree with their justification. They voted for him because of the economy and because of immigration and things like that.
Do you think in this country we need to do a better job of understanding the other side of it instead of maybe like accusing them of being uneducated and misinformed people? I think a lot of people also got offended that they were being titled, if you vote for Trump, you're an uneducated and a racist and all those other things. Like
I didn't see anybody, and I'm on the Democratic side. I didn't see anybody calling somebody a racist if they voted for Donald Trump or uneducated or things like. I don't know where. Like, you can't get offended by like TikTok comment sections and then base your vote off of TikTok comment sections. If someone calls you uneducated on the internet, like, you just gotta get over it, right?
Internet. This was just a thing that on the news, this like with all these major news outlets saying like, all right, like for example, I understand this is not like everyone watches this, but for example, you have a host of 6 women on The View, and they all refer to these people who voted for Trump as misogynist, sexist, people who are racist, and self-loathing in terms of self-loathing Puerto Ricans, self-loathing blacks that voted for Trump. And I think when you put a message out like that out there that divides instead of like trying to unite, which I think we're all trying to do, and therefore you drive people to vote for Trump because you're saying, well, if you vote for this guy, he's so bad, and vote for us, we're the good guys, we're going to do everything for you. And some people might get a little offended by you calling them uneducated and them racist for some of their conservative
Well, look,
beliefs.
I don't know if The View said that. I don't personally watch The View. There's some people on The View that I think are cool, but I don't watch The View. So I don't know if they said that or didn't say that. But also, like, if somebody on The View is expressing their view that Trump voters are uneducated, it doesn't mean that you should then go vote for Trump, right? There are people on all different forms of media that might say something that might be offensive to you, but it doesn't mean that you then decide your vote off of that, especially if it's just on one TV show, right?
I get that, but it's all about the people with major platforms. I feel this is just I think just the larger issue of why people voted for Trump. I feel a lot of people in the middle or that lean conservative feel disadvantaged by a lot of the messaging out there by all forms of media, including yourself. I feel like a lot, not that what you're doing is wrong. Like, I think it's great that you're using the platform to promote like political awareness, which is a great thing. But I think there's a lot of, I guess, if you're a conservative, there's a lot of assumptions being pushed out there, and you're just immediately put into a box. So then that immediately drives people. Well, it's like you're not even allowing me. There's not a place for my voice here. So I'm going to go to Trump. And I feel like a lot of people that didn't feel they had a home, they ran to Trump almost.
Yeah, that strikes me as strange. I don't know if that's the reason why, but if that's like a justification, like, that just strikes me as strange. Like, wanting to vote for the guy who has restricted rights and just has like a terrible policy platform because you don't feel like the people on The View are nice to you, or like people in media are not nice to you, is just crazy to me. Like, that just.
But that's the average American though, Harry. I mean, like, I'm not every. It's true though. I'm like not every.
Okay, but then just out of curiosity, if that is the average American, which I'm not saying it is the average American, but if it is the average American, would you say that's an uneducated view?
I wouldn't go that far because, like I said, I don't know personally. Like myself, I'm a college educated student. I go to Quinnipiac University. Like, I know I've researched a bunch of stuff, and I feel like I made an educated vote based on what I thought was best for myself, based on what both candidates said. So I can't say that like one side of the country is uneducated just because they didn't go to college or whatever.
That's not a college thing. I mean, you can be like a super educated Politico and not have gone to college. I don't dispute that. But like, I think that if you're voting for a presidential candidate because of the things you've mentioned, that just strikes me as strange. I think that you should be voting like who the person that's president of the United States really matters. It's not a job that, people should just take their anger out at, right? They shouldn't cast a vote emotionally. And vote for somebody that's kind of like an FU to the View and the media and whatnot. Like, it's a very serious job. It's a very serious job. And so if it is the case, via your justification for folks like yourself and others who might be around you, that you voted because you didn't feel like you had a home in the Democratic Party, or that people in the media say bad things about Trump voters, or whatever it might be, that strikes me as, I don't know, maybe if uneducated, it strikes me as irresponsible.
Okay, all right. That's a fair labeling for it. Then I could agree with you there. That could be irresponsible. I can understand.
Do you think
that.
voting? Are you saying that what I said makes sense, or are you saying that you also agree that Trump voters are irresponsible?
No, I agree with the statement you made. That could be an irresponsible thing for someone to do.
Okay.
But that's the reality, though, and that's what the reality you have to acknowledge. I think messaging. I mean, you like throw up your hands, but it's the truth. That's why messaging matters.
No, but you like the messaging can be this or that, but you should take the time to inform yourself.
Very true, but let's go back over our past elections. Oh, why did Obama win 2 straight times? Because of his messaging. His messaging was of unity, and he wanted to unite the country. Trump came in and he was just saying our country's terrible, and people were seeing in their regular lives, damn, like honestly, I am losing money. I'm not doing well financially. There is an immigration problem. All these issues. Obviously, he weaponized that, but that's why it's all about messaging. He used messaging better than Kamala.
No, I'm not saying that messaging is not an effective campaign strategy, but it's like what I'm more arguing like what people should vote based off of. You shouldn't just vote based off of messaging, which I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people did in this election. They should vote off of policy. You should vote like who's more experienced, who knows the ins and outs, who knows this job better.
Okay.
Who's better at working with the other side, right? That's and who's actually going to get stuff done, and who has a policy that makes sense, is pragmatic, and has a possibility of passing. And who's also making realistic promises, not promises you just want to hear. Like Trump saying, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. That's just what people wants to hear. That's a great example of messaging where it sounds attractive, but any rational person is going to acknowledge that that's not the case. And Trump has already failed on that promise. So it's like, those are, in my view, are what the qualities of a president of the United States should be, not just messaging. And if you're voting just based off of messaging, we have a real problem here.
Well, I think that's where the disconnect is then, because I feel a lot of people are just voting based off messaging. If you ask me, I think that's just the fact of the matter, because the average Americans, mothers and fathers, or people who are working eight-hour shifts and are tired, they don't have time to go and research all these topics like you might or I might. So they're going to be basing off just what they can watch on TV on the click of it, on the flick of a switch. Understand? So I think that's what the reality is, and I think that's what the Democratic Party has to understand.
I think that's where honesty also is important, because there's so many of the policies that Trump very effectively communicated in very short messages that he just can't do, or is extremely unlikely to do, things that are impossible to do. And yet they resonate with people, even though they're completely false.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an effective way. I just don't see the Democrat Party being willing to sacrifice integrity in order to win the election. So maybe that's what they need to do to win. I just shudder for what that means for the country if that's what we have to do to win. And we being as a people, not as a Democrat.
Okay. Because I feel there's just been a shift. Ever since the 2016 election, there's been a shift in the politics and how people vote. I think we've just seen that. I think the reason why Biden won by such a large margin was because of his messaging, and plus because of what Trump's language was like. I don't think people are really voting on policy. A lot of people said, I just really like the guy, and they just voted for Trump. I just think that's what it was based off of. I understand. I'm not justifying that it's correct. It's just like I said, the reality. And I think you guys are struggling to acknowledge that reality almost, where it's like, well, people are wrong because they should vote on policy and they should vote on the issues when, like I said, they don't have time to go educate themselves properly.
Just out of curiosity, Law, did you disagree with anything I said?
What do you mean? Like in general?
When I was just going back and forth with him, did you disagree with anything I said? Just out of curiosity?
No.
And that's purely out of curiosity.
No. I mean, I think you're spot on with your points. I'm sounding like a broken record. The ability to be succinct, but also like the voting populace is very reactionary too. Yeah. Like I'm relatively certain that the Democrats are going to take the House just because that's what happens. Is things don't go as well as they were planned. Trump's not going to be able to do what he promised, so they're going to say let's give the Democrats a try. They have a good shot at taking the Senate. Yeah, I think it's reactionary. People saw high gas prices, high inflation over the course of the Biden presidency, and even though he got it down and it got it down tremendously through his policies and his actions, they still remember that, and their reaction is to vote for the other person.
Yeah. It's a problem. It's a real problem. Gotta have more civic education on this stuff, you know. So anyway. Kyle, anything else you want to discuss, or?
My last thing I wanted to bring up was, do you think Kamala's going to rerun in 4 years, or do you think you guys should bring out another candidate who's better?
Well, I won't talk about what we should or shouldn't do just yet, because we are 4 years away. So we'll take a look at what the national landscape looks like in 2.5 years, and then I'll make a determination there. But will Kamala Harris run? I'd say probably not. I think it's pretty consistent in politics, with the exception of like Trump and other people, that if you're the presidential nominee once and you lose, you don't get renominated by your party again. So I imagine that to be the case. Kamala Harris has obviously had a unique circumstance where she was put in with, became the nominee with like 100-ish days left. So will she run? I'd say overwhelmingly probably not. But, if she did, we'll have an open primary. She'll compete just like anybody else, and we'll go from there.
Okay. And last thing, sorry, but
it's no problem.
Do you think in the next 2 years, while he has control of the Senate and looking like he's going to have control of the House it's a close call right now with the House race, do you really think our country is going to go down that dark hole that everyone's been, I guess, scared about ever since Election Day, in terms of us going in a very negative direction, in your personal opinion?
Yeah, I think it's more likely than not that the country gets significantly worse. And it might not be worse in the ways that your average American perceives on a day-to-day basis, but it might be things that happen in the quiet moments of the country where Trump tries, signs a casual executive order to concentrate more power in the presidency that may or may not get a bunch of press, but it'll certainly change the way that he is able to do things. And I think that he will probably quietly purge the FBI, the Department of Justice, of civil servants who are really good at their jobs and have dedicated their lives to these things. But, they are not pro-Trump, so they will no longer serve in these agencies. And that won't get like a bunch of media attention. It won't be reported nationally. It won't be a breaking news story for a lot of Americans, but it'll be very, very important. That'll hurt our ability as a country to protect ourselves and to function. And I think that Trump will pass a lot of bad policy, probably another tax cut. And he'll try to push for a lot of bad things. Thank God. I mean, Democrats may take the House. I don't know though, but we'll have, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the filibuster to block some stuff.
And that's going to be the big part is, I think Trump will be able to get his tariffs through if he tries that without, because that's a budgetary item. So it doesn't apply to the filibuster. And that I think will cause things to get very bad for people on the lower end of the economic spectrum. Even the best estimates is, if everything goes swimmingly and it's supposed to bring back all this manufacturing and production, even though there's a lot of things we can't do here, that it would be 5 to 10 years before you see that rebound of the manufacturing to compensate for the huge impacts it's going to have on the lower end of the economic spectrum. That's my biggest fear. I don't think a lot of the policy things, they're either unconstitutional or would require things that would have to get past the filibuster. I don't think a lot of the policy things are going to get through, but I am very scared about the economic outlook.
So just mainly just the economy mostly. You think he's going to accelerate inflation instead of reducing the issue?
Yeah, the tariffs will cause transitory inflation. Like he doesn't even deny that. It's just an ends justifies the means argument.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, Kyle. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
have a good
Kyle.
one, all right? All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up there.
All right. Aaron, thank you for the $20. Julie, thank you for the $2. And Tashay, $50 for me as well. That is amazing. That pays off 2 booking fees for unhoused people, which I do once they hit my desk, anonymous at least to them. So, yeah, foreign affairs. I'm going to rant about this for 30 seconds if I can, Harry.
Absolutely.
Foreign affairs, I'm very terrified about because Donald Trump, he doesn't even deny this with the documents that he kept at Mar-a-Lago, which he just said he had the right to. We know that some of those documents were Five Eyes documents. We have a cooperative intelligence sharing agreements with Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the UK, where we just watch each other's backs and we share very, very high level intelligence with each other to make sure that we're keeping each other safe. We know that some of those documents were the documents that were stored at Mar-a-Lago. I'm terrified that it's going to hurt our foreign intelligence apparatus when these countries are going to be reluctant to share information with somebody for fear it might end up at the shitter in Mar-a-Lago. And I think that that's going to make us less safe as a country.
Yeah. I have just a quick question on that. So, we've seen like a couple of articles come out in recent days about how Jack Smith and a lot of these cases are unwinding, unfortunately. You've mentioned this live previously that if the current Jack Smith case was dismissed, that they have other charges they could potentially bring on other classified documents that they didn't bring at this moment in time. What do you think the likelihood is that Trump serves out his term and then the new Department of Justice brings those indictments if he doesn't pardon himself?
Yeah, I think they will probably be outside of the statute of limitations.
Really?
There's a 5-year statute of limitations. So it would be outside of the statute for that. But I think even so, if they did find a workaround for that, he would just pardon himself on his way out the door or have J.D. Vance do it for him. There are mechanisms to bring back, even if the case doesn't get reopened by the 11th Circuit, they could always refile the case with the U.S. attorney or charge some of the other documents that he wasn't charged with before, but that window's fast closing. But I think the federal ones are going to go away either from him pressuring his new attorney general to drop the cases or him just pardoning himself.
And what about does the statute of limitations apply after someone's been indicted? So like in Georgia, will it go away if he hasn't gone to trial yet?
No, once you're indicted, the statute of limitations is told. So no matter how long the case takes, once you're indicted, that satisfies the statute.
So Georgia.
Georgia on my mind. He's got sentencing coming up on the 28th or 26th. And then, the Georgia, they still have to work through the Fani Willis issues, which is probably going to be another year and a half or so till they resolve that. Then they really can't compel a sitting president to comply with state court proceedings. So that one would just have to wait till after he's out of office.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
some accountability. All right, Law. Well, thanks for coming up and chatting, man. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. And you guys got me over 38,000. So I really appreciate that follow. Yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic.
38 or whichever it was. I appreciate you guys for getting me over that threshold.
Amazing.
All right. You have a great night, Harry. Good talking to you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Have a good one. That's it. Let's Law of the Wild, everybody. What a fantastic guy. Again, public defender for Minnesota. We love our public defenders. They're doing a lot of good work. And, they're not appreciated enough societally and financially as well. So it's always a pleasure to talk with Law of the Wild. Super smart guy. Anyway, ladies, gents, boys, and girls, everybody in between, we're going to wrap up the live there. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to drop a follow here on TikTok if you haven't already. We post videos, do lives, all of that good stuff. Also follow on all the different social media platforms. I post on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, TikTok. So all of those links are in my bio. If you can go check them out, that means a lot. It goes an incredibly long way. No, Chris, I will not let you up really quickly because I'm leaving. Chris just texted me to let him up. No. How about no? And folks, have a great day tomorrow. It's a Sunday. So sleep in, watch some Sunday football. Hopefully your team wins tomorrow. Enjoy your day. See your friends, family, loved ones, all that good stuff. Tell them you care about them. And I hope that you're doing well. I hope you're okay with, or getting better at least, with everything that has taken place in the recent days. Yeah. All right, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one. We will talk soon. All right.